Cool. You know what? We're gonna save this one. All right. Also, I do also have to talk about Asmongold, which, you know what? Actually, we'll get to that one. Actually, just get out the way. We covered Minecraft movie already, so the thumbnail is kind of like not great, but no, but this tweet is kind of going off a little bit at 4.5 thousand likes. What do you do now? Asmongold shouts out Nick Fuentes.
The youth turnout.
They're working, and also I think a lot of young people don't have as much investment in the stock market, so the tariffs don't seem to be as much of a tangible evil to them because they don't get to observe the negative effects. So, big surprise that a bunch of old people that have capital are mad about their
What is the Chad 2 Dad passport bro drama?
capital gains going down. Who could have ever guessed that? And also, a lot of young people are moving away from this too, because they see this and they're like, well, this is my future, and I don't want to sign it away to like some illegal immigrant. I don't want to sign it away to Israel. Like, how many times have you guys seen the picture of like somebody saying, I'm not signing up for the draft to go fight for Israel? A lot of people think that. You know who's been popping off a lot on TikTok? Nick. You know the Nick I'm talking about. Everybody knows. A lot of people have been talking about him. Not NMP.
He thinks he's so slick. Yeah, he thinks if he doesn't say the full name, that it's not him co-signing a Nazi. This is what's called a mask off moment. I mean, the mask is already gone. I mean, it's like his chat like kind of gives him away, right? Like the chat all knows that it's talking about like Nick Fuentes. Even some trying to say Nazi Nick. You see his trans take? I saw his trans take. And this I responded, but guys, he's not a Nazi though. Right? Just an anti-trans, anti-immigrant, mold inhaling, roach ingesting, Holocaust denying, Islamophobic piece of human garbage who cheers on the protesters being brutalized, claims Palestinians have inferior culture, and does routine Nazi apologia to his objectively Nazi audience. Scum. If he hadn't said not NMP, then he'd have plausible deniability. He doesn't want plausible deniability. He wants to do Nazi apologia. He wants to defend Nazis. He wants to shout out Nazis. That's what he wants to do. That's it. That's what he wants to do. And like, he's like extended plausible deniability past where it reasonably should be extended to. Like, he should have lost plausible deniability back when he said, oh no, I'm sure that the Holocaust 99% happened. Like, I mean, people were defending him, even though very clearly that's Holocaust denialism. You're doing Holocaust denialism. And he was. I can't stand Asmongold. Cannot. Because that's what I have Asmongold entitled for, just to say and look at that. But I do want to continue on Casey Neistat. I also wanted to see this Legal Eagle video.
President Trump has
about how to stop the tariffs. This is relatively interesting to me as well.
the real reason the tech billionaire.
There's also apparently like AI gambling problems worse than you know, and so like there's like a Phil DeFranco video I actually also want to see. Because I'm also curious. But I do also want to finish out the Casey Neistat video, but it's a freaking long video. We'll finish it.
like Mark Zuckerberg are going all in on MAGA, flip-flopping on issues like hate speech and content moderation and what that could mean for
I mean, let's be real. They always sucked on hate speech and content moderation on Facebook.
future of free speech online. And then how the gambling industry is leveraging the AI boom to hypercharge its exploitations of customers, fuel addictions, and drive new laws as it sinks its teeth even deeper into the American economy. We're making the deep dive today on your brand new Philip DeFranco show, your daily dive into the news, how it's being covered, and how people are reacting to it. Right, and that because a little announcement is this week is going to be a little bit different. I promised my wife we could go on a vacation and I would not spend half of it in a hotel room shooting the show. So this week across your 4 Philip DeFranco shows, I shot 11 deep dives into really, really important news you should know about. We're deep diving into some of the most interesting, concerning, and/or downright scary stories that I've seen over the last few weeks and months that matter in the now and in the future. But that said, let's jump into Deep Dive Week and today's show, starting with this. I want to do a little bit of a deep dive with you today, because these days there's one main billionaire in Trump's orbit that we talk about a lot. But right now, I want to talk about one who's now circling the president closer than ever, though he doesn't have as big of a spotlight on. Because it seems like after years of flip-flopping or playing both sides on issues like free speech, content moderation, and diversity, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta along with him, they're going all in on MAGA. And to fully appreciate and understand the situation, we got to go back to 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidency for the first time. And as you might remember, there were a lot of people trying to explain what happened, with one of them being Facebook. The critics at the time not only painting the platform as an online echo chamber, but also blaming it for the near unchecked spread of fake news, disinformation, and conspiracy theories that they say
You're gonna get a good video on gambling. We saw it, I'm pretty sure.
propelled Trump to victory. And as far as Mark Zuckerberg, of course, Facebook's founder and CEO, he defended the company at first, right, denying that the platform had any impact on the election. And in fact, he called the claim that fake news on Facebook influenced the election crazy. But then, just a few days later, he was writing an apologetic post announcing a series of steps meant to deal with its spread, saying, "The bottom line is, we take misinformation seriously." And with that, he previewed Facebook's fact-checking program, which would actually be launched just a month later. But of course, despite that, the criticism, it kept coming, with the same outlets continually reporting on the shortcomings of the company's fact-checking efforts. And by 2018, for example, the company was increasingly being blamed for contributing to the ethnic cleansing and genocide in Myanmar, with reporting at the time beginning to show how the country's military had waged a systematic multi-year propaganda campaign on the platform, with then, not long after that, Facebook again apologizing, admitting that the site had been used to incite violence. And that led to Zuckerberg expanding moderation teams and better defining rules around acceptable speech, with him also sometime that year speaking to Stephen Levy, who wrote a book called Facebook, The Inside Story, about how the solution to disinformation and hate speech was more content moderation, with him reportedly telling the author, "It is no longer enough to give people tools to say what they want and then just let our community flag them and try to respond after the fact," saying we need to take a more active role in making sure that the tools aren't misused. "I think we're doing the right thing, it's just that we should have done it sooner." But then, a year later, facing accusations of censorship by conservative politicians, including Trump, Zuckerberg seemingly began swinging back the other way, with him stirring controversy at the time, right? Facebook refusing to take down a Trump ad, making false claims about Joe Biden, with Zuckerberg then defending the decision in a speech at Georgetown, hailing his site as a bastion of free expression. And this is he seemingly aimed to rewrite the true origin story of the platform with a new founding myth, talking about how when he was in college, the country had gone to war in Iraq. And with that, saying that he felt we were acting without hearing a lot of important perspectives, and claiming those early years shaped his belief that giving everyone a voice empowers the powerless and pushes society.
Sure. Wow. When I was young, I witnessed the invasion of Iraq. Therefore, we need to hear from the people being invaded and the invaders. It's only fair. It's only fair. Thanks. Thanks, Mark.
To be better over time, which appears to be a very interesting revisionist history version of the creation of Facebook, because if you look into it, he initially made Face Smash, which is a website where you could rate the attractiveness of their female classmates, and he did so.
He did do that. I watched The Social Network, and then he cut out one of the founders of Facebook
by hacking into the so-called Facebooks of the different houses at Harvard, with him even writing in a journal published on the site itself at the time.
Movie. I think the casting was fantastic, honestly. You really identify with, you identify with Spider-Man. You're like, man, Spider-Man, go off. Yeah, his suit was at the cleaners. True. I watched Social Network. I am a Facebook expert. Andrew Garfield got fucked over. True. Then he cut out the twins too. I mean, yeah, but people don't really care about the twins. You know what I mean?
The Kirkland Facebook is open on my computer desktop, and some of these people have
Still online now? What do you mean? We just started stream.
pretty horrendous Facebook
Twins are
pics. I
creepy, who
almost
cares?
want to
Yeah.
put some of these faces next to pictures of farm animals and have people vote on which is more attractive. But in any case, with that history set aside and a newly connected origin story to take its place, Zuckerberg just kept pushing back. With us then seeing things like in 2020, Zuckerberg claiming that Facebook's commitment to free speech was a reason to not act on inflammatory posts from Trump regarding the Black Lives Matter protests. Though also, notably around the same time, you had activists and human rights groups who used Facebook to document human rights abuses in the Middle East, accusing the company of deleting their accounts. All while, in the United States, Zuckerberg defended Facebook's policies and resisted pressure to act more forcefully against hate speech. Though a big thing, I will say, is that the company still had a hate speech policy at the time, and Zuck claimed that they were proactively removing roughly 90% of it. But then something changed again. Biden won the election, Trump lost, and hundreds of his supporters invaded the Capitol. And again, Facebook got some of the blame, and we saw them ban Trump indefinitely for the role that he played in inciting the insurrection. With Zuck then soon after telling investors that the company was considering steps to straight up reduce political content across Facebook, which was done shortly after. But of course, that didn't stop fact checkers, researchers, and the media from finding ways that the platform was still being used to spread misinformation and increase political polarization. And come 2024, you had Zuck getting brutalized before the US Senate, then reinventing his image, and last August, he wrote that letter to Congress accusing the Biden administration of pressuring what had by then become Meta into censoring more COVID-19 content than he said he felt comfortable with, as well as then announcing that he wouldn't repeat the contributions he made in 2020 to support nonpartisan electoral infrastructure because the gifts made him appear not neutral. Though notably, that spending was also part of the reason that Trump accused Zuckerberg of plotting against him during the 2020 election, something that also reportedly involved threats to throw him in jail for the rest of his life. But then, despite all that, within weeks of Trump's re-election, Zuckerberg was dining with the then president-elect at Mar-a-Lago. And it was also at this time, according to reporting by the New York Times, that Trump advisor Stephen Miller told Zuckerberg that he had an opportunity to help reform America, but it would be on Trump's terms. With Zuck there reportedly signaling to Miller and his colleagues, including other senior Trump advisors, that he would do nothing to obstruct their agenda. And in fact, according to the Times, Zuck reportedly began preparing to make sweeping changes to Meta to, in the words of the Times, remake Meta for the Trump era. And notably, with that, the Times interviewed more than a dozen current and former Meta employees, as well as executives and advisors to Zuckerberg. And they reportedly described his shift as serving a dual purpose. Right, on one hand, it's about positioning Meta for the current political climate, with Trump and Republican power ascendant. But also, too, and maybe even more notably, people close to him reportedly say that the shift reflects Zuckerberg's personal views of how his company should be run, right? Views that he no longer wanted to keep quiet. You know, with all that, according to the Times, this whole process, it was highly unusual. Because in the past, Meta would modify policies affecting its apps by inviting employees, civic leaders, and others to weigh in. And so with that, the process would generally take months, but this time it was a quote 6-week sprint, blindsiding even employees on his policy and integrity team. With then, on January 2nd, Meta appointing Republican Joel Kaplan to lead its global policy team to implement the changes. And then a few days.
What? LOL. This is kind of funny, actually. Meta got caught gaming AI benchmarks. With Llama 4, Meta fudged the benchmark to appear as though a new AI model is better than the competition. Over the weekend, Meta dropped 2 new Llama models, a smaller model named Scout and Maverick, a mid-sized model the company claims can beat GPT-4o, and Gemini 2.0 Flash across the board, a range of widely reported benchmarks. Maverick quickly secured the number 2 spot on the LM Arena, the AI benchmark site where humans compare outputs from different systems and vote on the best one. In Meta's press release, the company highlighted the Maverick's ELO score of 1417, placed it above OpenAI's 4.0 and just under Gemini's 2.5 Pro. A higher ELO score means a model wins more often in an arena when it goes head-to-head with competitors. The achievement seems to position Meta's open weight Llama 4 as a series challenger, not contender, to the state-of-the-art closed model from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. Then AI researchers digging into Meta's documentation discovered something unusual. In the fine print, Meta acknowledges that the version of Maverick tested on the LM Arena isn't the same as what's available to the public. According to Meta's own materials, it deployed an experimental chat version of Llama to LM Arena. It was specifically optimized for conversationality. So they're cheating. LM Arena's testing was conducted on Llama 4 Maverick optimized for conversationality. Yeah, so of course if you make, that's like, okay. That's like, I don't know a good analogy.
Days later, he added 3 new men to the board, with one, of course, being Trump's friend Dana White. And on January 7th, most of Meta's 72,000 employees reportedly learned about the rest of Zuckerberg's plans along with the rest of the world. With Zuck, of course, famously announcing that it was killing its fact-checking program in favor of a community notes system similar to X's. Or with him also revealing that political content would no longer be suppressed, and finally declaring that the company would be loosening restrictions on how people can talk about contentious social issues such as immigration, gender, and sexuality. And notably here, all of that came not just in a written statement from Joel Kaplan, but it was also announced by Zuckerberg in a video that had him say,
"After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms."
Right, and then, in the days after, the full extent of the changes became clear. Or the company ending its hate speech policy, now calling it hateful conduct, with this policy now allowing posts saying you hate people of certain races, religions, and sexual orientations. And that including permitting, quote, allegations of mental illness or abnormality when based on gender or sexual orientation. With also an Intercept investigation claiming examples of other newly permissible speech highlighted in Meta training materials, including immigrants are grubby, filthy pieces of shit, and gays are freaks. With this seeing Jillian York, Director for International Freedom of Expression at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and notably someone who has criticized Meta for what she described as over-moderation in the past, saying, "These examples demonstrate that Meta's policy changes are political in nature and not intended to simply allow more freedom of expression." And then beyond that, we've seen things like the company also reportedly removing the transgender and non-binary themes on Messenger. Instagram at one point blocked LGBTQ hashtags and marked them as sexually suggestive content, though Meta said afterwards that it was a mistake. And then off the platform, facilities managers were reportedly instructed to remove tampons from men's bathrooms in Meta's offices in Silicon Valley.
Okay. Are y'all seeing the discourse that Zucco's Madre or whoever is getting into on Twitter again? I swear that account is always staying in some drama. Just always staying in some drama. I have no idea what the discourse is, but I just see tweets being like, bro, the Zucco's Mama account is getting into a beef again, and it's the least surprising thing of the day. And I'm just like, what? What happened now? Who? You would know who if I pulled the account up. She's the person who always yells at Hassan for like being pro sex work. You know what I mean? It's like half the internet. That's true. This person. She's so annoying. I gotta stop seeing her a while ago. There's this whole thing going on about like patriarchal systems in like marginalized communities and just I don't know what her take was. I just saw like the takes about her takes. I just know that I know it exists, but I do not have a take, and I'm not engaging.
Texas and New York. And of course, the company also announcing that it would be ending its work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, with reportedly a memo being sent to staff referring to the fact that, quote, the legal and policy landscape surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in the United States is changing. And, since then, Zuck's kind of just been handing Trump more wins. Or you have Meta paying $25 million to settle a Trump lawsuit dating back to his ban from Facebook. Zuck's been praising the Trump administration openly, and now he's reportedly hunting for a home in DC to be closer to Trump. Though, I will say, notably, right,
hey, yo, don't you have a wife, Zuck? That's kind of strange.
Trump and his team not fully buying it, maybe. Because according to Rolling Stone, various members of his inner circle
is that non-white men can't be patriarchal.
Are skeptical of Zuck's MAGA makeover.
I'm not getting into it.
With one senior Trump administration official even reportedly telling the outlet, there is a lot more ass-kissing that needs to be done.
So I think asking me to take online Twitter posters seriously, it's just not gonna happen. There is no nuance at all ever on Twitter. It doesn't exist. So even if I wanted to give a nuanced take, it would not be productive because nobody does nuance, right? They just don't. She's an op. I'm convinced she's paid by the CIA. I don't think she's paid by the CIA. People can just be dumb as well, right?
He just needs to prove himself. It's a good start, but he can't just snap his finger and make the pass not happen. So, with all that, I'd love to know your thoughts on the situation in general, but also...
Also, I finally fixed my cables, so now my dating desk can rise. Up you go, chat. Up you go. All rise. Oh, okay. Okay. Bye. 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 There we go. I think I can go a little bit higher. I'm too tall. Ah! Yeah, see, I'm too tall. Also, I can raise this up a little bit, actually. I'll think about it. Hold on. No, that's not happening. All right. You're stuck, chat, actually, like that.
Zuckerberg and what we've seen with a number of multi-millionaires or billionaires, do you think this is kind of the evolution, the final form?
Chat, this is how it feels to be 6 feet tall. Actually, y'all are probably more closer to like 5'10"-ish. I'm 6 feet tall. Why my head's out the frame.
Finally feel free to be this version of themselves? Or do you see this more as them being shapeshifters? We're going whichever way the wind blows for better financial or personal gain. What do you think and why? And then I've got more important news for you in just a moment, but quick question. Can you list every subscription that you are currently paying for? You can pause it.
Rocket Money? Yeah, it's Rocket Money.
PDS. If I were to ask you over the course of a year, how many Americans engage in some form of gambling, what do you think that number would be? Think about it, ponder it, give me that answer. The answer is 55%. Right, that is a...
That's more than 1 in 5. That's just at 5 and 10. Gosh, fudging darn it. Wait, does channel points count? Does that count? That might count a little bit. A little bit taller. No, the cable's already stretched. Oh, there we go. Wait, okay. A tad bit more, but I need a longer HDMI cable. Well, maybe I can do this. There. Okay. Go up slightly more. Right there. Okay, that's better. That's about normal. Let's chill. I'm so tall, but...
According to a survey conducted last summer for the American Gaming Association. With that, up from 49% the year prior. So, I mean, we're talking about tremendous sums of money, like some $150 billion on sports alone last year, according to estimates. With us even seeing 538 founder, author, and famed data nerd Nate Silver estimating in his new book that the total wagers placed by Americans every year passes $1 trillion. Which, I mean, if true, would mean that in 2022, Americans bet the equivalent of nearly 4% of their nation's GDP.
You know, this would be not a problem at all if people's material conditions were satisfied, by the way. People would still gamble, obviously, it's still an addiction, and people would still engage with it, right? But like, most people would not try to like make, a bajillion dollars off of gambling and try to like, do that if they actually had material conditions satisfied. Some would though, but a lot of people wouldn't.
Lost over 10% of that money, which, really shouldn't be that shocking since today we bet on just about everything. Sports, political elections, stock prices, meme coins, online lottery.
But who is we? Gambling is haram.
casino apps, Luigi Mangioni's
The sin.
play the existence of
not
aliens.
gamble.
Hell, places like Polymarket, they even let people bet on different aspects of the Los Angeles wildfires, like how fast they'd spread and when they'd be contained. Though to be clear there, that's technically only supposed to be available to bettors outside of the United States. But clearly, the most prominent driver of the new gambling culture in recent years has been sports. Right in that, because ever since the Supreme Court struck down a federal ban on sports betting
through capitalism. I think kind of differently than sex work, gambling is like a different beast because gambling is addictive, right? Gambling is addictive in the same way that, like, you know, drugs are addictive. And so like decriminalization is still necessary, obviously, because capitalism will commodify the instances, but it still is required to like have some level of support systems because it is a vice. So it's not the same, but it can be tackled in a similar way under this current system of or this mode of production, where there needs to be some level of decriminality so that people can actually get the help they need when they're gambling, and people can be safe when they are engaging in sex work, right? Same steps need to be taken, but for different reasons. You know what I mean?
2018, nearly 40 states and DC have legalized the practice. Though notably, the two most populous states in the country, California and Texas, have yet to join them. Right? And so if those two joined, you'd expect the gambling numbers to get even more insane. And I mean, you better believe that industry executives' mouths, they are watering at the idea. Because companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, MGM, and Disney through ESPN.
Jail. Honestly, I think we need a Chinese style, like, they throw the CEOs of these companies in prison. I'm not joking. Directly to prison, in jail. Their billions of market cap, but like millions of dollars per year of their salaries are paid through the funds of the working class people who are either dumb enough or desperate enough to like engage in gambling as a form of not entertainment but like means of sustenance. They are directly taking advantage of working class people and prying on a vice that is unregulated. They need to go to jail, all of them.
They've raked in the profits from this gambling boom. You know, even the big sports leagues who have historically opposed betting now caving in as they're signing partnerships with sports books. And we've seen a whole cottage industry sprout around these markets with one very controversial goal, which is the reason that we're talking about this today. Using the revolution in artificial intelligence to turbocharge the gambling boom, right? And they're doing this in a number of ways. So we're going to start with the mildly concerning and end with the downright dystopian. Right, so first step, you got things like companies using AI to streamline many of the creative tasks that the gambling industry already does, namely writing persuasive marketing copy. With Narrativa, for instance, a firm that reportedly gets a quarter of its business from gambling clients.
I mean, this was going to be the case for like all marketing. So this isn't something that's specific to gambling, but all marketing in the next coming few years. I think marketing agencies, copywriting, things of that nature, not like book copywriting, but like marketing copy, are going to be like the first things to go under AI, right? Instead of paying 10 people who are keeping up with like pop culture to write ads, right, and marketing copy, you pay one person to just shove prompts into ChatGPT and have it generate something that's good enough for you, right? Because like for a industry like marketing, it's not about how persuasive your marketing is. It's about how quickly to market you can get out. It's about your output, right? It's about your output. It's about throwing as many things as you can possibly out there, right? And if you can push out 10, 20, 30, 50 pieces of marketing and advertisements that are all different and distinct, as opposed to like two pieces that are very well thought out, and you're going to be better off in the long term, 100%. Journalist / PR person here, half the job listings I get from Indeed and LinkedIn are now KOI editing, AI data training. It is exploding exponentially. Yeah, or copy editing. I didn't work in startups and entrepreneurship. I'm seeing many dorks pitching these startups on top of ChatGPT to do exactly that. Most of the people have no experience in marketing, copywriting, or branding. It's obnoxious. Yeah, and the problem is is that ChatGPT makes it so easy that like I could right now build a, you know, basically you're building a front end that just calls the ChatGPT to make their calls. And you just pay the pennies that it costs per like per query, if you will. Right? And like it looks like magic to the people who don't know what's going on. Right? It looks more official than just having their employees use ChatGPT, but it's equally as easy. You know? AI startups are exploding.
churning out everything from automated summaries of sports games to SEO-friendly reviews of online casino games to promotional social media posts.
Oh,
But then
speaking of online summaries of sports games, did y'all see the what something Hassan talked about yesterday about the fact that the market rebounded after a misinformation tweet that came out? I think that tweet was made maybe not by a bot, but using or because of AI. Right? Like I think an AI was scanning the transcript for whatever a Trump spokesperson was saying for the administration, and then summarizes that transcript into headlines, posts those headlines onto a feed. That feed is immediately taken and then posted on a Newswire Twitter account immediately. There's like no human in that process. It's from an automated aggregator, yeah. And I'm saying that the tweet got that, the aggregator got that headline from an AI bot. What was the content though? Basically, they were just asking like if Trump was going to pause the tariffs, and like the spokesperson was like, yeah, and then said the answer was basically like, yeah, no, they're not doing that, right? The AI cannot distinguish between yeah, no, or yeah. Right, so it took is Trump going to pause the tariffs? And they took the yeah, and they made a headline out of that summarization saying Trump administration says that the tariffs are going to be paused. That was posted onto some like RSS feed that was picked up by a news aggregator, right? And then posted by the news aggregator bot on Twitter. Right? And then the markets saw that and then rebounded because everybody started buying again because they were like, oh, it's going to be paused. Oh, it's going to be paused. Right? Oh, the tariffs are going to be paused when it wasn't the case at all. On that Twitter account to blame AI so bad, but I know it won't. Yeah, because the account itself is AI. Then CNBC picked it up as well as Reuters. Yeah. Because of course they did. And it came from just like in my opinion, I don't know this for sure, but it would make a lot of sense if it came from a AI summarized transcript. Maybe not even just a transcript. Maybe it was just the live transcripting, right? Because it makes sense. That's something you can do. It's very easy. It's just like some wild speculation. I mean, it's something that's like it makes sense. Because like nothing that I said is like something that's not happening, right? There are AI programs to like scan transcripts to create headlines off of stories. That does exist. It exists and it's happening. And there are AI aggregating bots that are on Twitter that scans RSS feeds for like actual news articles, news outlets, and posting those feeds on Twitter. Those are things that do exist. And my take is that it's not outside of the realm of possibility that those two things came together in that situation. And we know what account tweeted this, so you probably look at the other tweets to figure it out. I mean, the account is an aggregator account. It's like freaking Newswire, US. You know what I mean? I remember what the exact account is, but like this account is literally an aggregator, right? They are a US and world news aggregator, direct from AP, Bloomberg, Reuters, and others. This is a powered by Polymarket, right? This is an AI account that basically takes things from a giant RSS feed of articles being posted on news outlets and sites, and just take that, AI it down into like a short snippet, right? And then post a snippet on Twitter, essentially. That is what these accounts do. And they're very successful because they're always first to market, right? At least on Twitter. They take whatever is posted, if something is posted on AP, they snag that from the RSS feed, right? They AI it down and then post it immediately, like within minutes, if not seconds, to Twitter with like Musk, Trump trade advisory Navarro is truly a moron. This probably came like 30 seconds after Musk said it, honestly. Has the technology existed for a decade? Yes, but the problem is now it's accessible, right? Yes, this technology has existed for a decade, but now it's extraordinarily accessible and easy, right? For anybody to get into. So a random person like freaking Walter Bloomberg can be like legitimately just like a random like John from Texas A&M who wants to make a summer project for himself, and he makes an aggregator that does this, and then like it happens to like have an effect of like rebounding the markets by accident. You have been into Carlos, we get live bullshit news. Yeah, I like legitimately, yeah, I probably could do something like that. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, basically, you just need to get to the RSS feed for any account or any like news outlet. Whenever an article is posted, this RSS feed is updated that you can just kind of like watch. And whenever this is updated, just take this headline and just say, AP said White House keeps a world guessing as the clock ticks on Trump's new tariffs. It literally would not be difficult to do. If you subscribe to Reuters and AP, you get updates faster. These also contains a lot of press releases from PR people. Again, also could be automated. This entire process can be automated, and that's the issue. As in pay money, yeah, you could do that too, which these people honestly do, because again, your goal is to be first to market. And anyone could pay to publish a garbage press release about anything. True. The point is that it's not crazy to imagine AI being involved in the process, especially in 2025.
You've also got firms like SharpLink that use AI in somewhat more innovative ways, namely to convert regular sports fans into
As Trump is considering a 90-day pause on tariffs for all countries except China. This is really doing the rounds, but it's not clear where it's coming from. CNBC. Trump is considering a 90-day pause on tariffs for all countries except China. Watch, where do you get this headline from? Reuters. Like, this can very, very easily be a bot, right? Twitter bots have existed forever. This is it would not be a surprise. Or this could be somebody who's like actually just trying to start some shit, which I respect that. If it was a shit post that made the markets rebound and then drop back down again, I would respect that. Wait, okay. Question: If you're Walter, right, and you bought the dip, made this tweet, the markets rebounded and you sold, is that illegal? I feel like that shouldn't be illegal. I feel like that would be legal if you were to do that. Is that your fault? Yeah, it's very illegal. It's not your fault if people believed you. It's purely speculative. It's not my fault. If I bought something that was like, yo, this is going to the moon, and people believed me, and they bought it, and I sold it, it's not my fault. It ain't my fault. I'm saying that would be market manipulation. Okay, the market just follows what I have to say. I don't think so. If you're the head of the Fed, then yes, there's nobody, free country. That's what my take is. It's like, I feel like it should be fine because like you are an individual person, therefore you like. Nah, I feel like it should be fine. That's my take though. If it's not fine, I feel like it should be fine.
To sports bettors, with it reportedly doing this by gathering data about each individual, analyzing it for patterns, and then personalizing betting offers specifically designed for them. So for example, if you've got a favorite sport, team, or player, you'll get targeted with bets for those things. But then also, once you're already in the betting game, the technology does everything it can to keep you there, making more and bigger bets. Right in there, one of the prominent examples is micro bets. You know, they're not exactly new. You just bet in real time throughout the game on stuff like who gets the next touchdown or makes the next tackle or whether the next play will be a run or a pass. So, you know, they're especially low value, high frequency, and they get settled within minutes or even seconds. But also, as outlets like Business Insider have pointed out, artificial intelligence gave those kind of bets a shot of adrenaline right in the ass. With the seeing things recently like DraftKings acquiring SimpleBet, whose automated processes reportedly raised the maximum number of possible micro bets by an order of magnitude. And so according to the outlet, no longer bottlenecked.
I mean, yeah, all you would have to, again, none of this is, like, the part that pissing me off is none of this is difficult to do. Any software developer and programmer worth their salt could make this in a weekend as like a fun little side project. Right? With publicly available tools. Like Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps. That's where we are now. It would not be difficult to just take all the members of one team, all the members of the other team, what their positions are, and what those positions mean, throwing them into a model and being like, okay, this is the current state of the game. This is who has the ball. This is who is in the game right now. Here are a list of all the players. Here are their positions. Give me a list of 100 micro bets that could potentially happen in the next 10 plays. And it will give you those things. Right? And all you do is just show those to people and be like, oh, freaking, I don't know, football people. Aaron Rodgers is going to say something anti-vax within the next play or whatever. I don't know what freaking Aaron Rodgers does. You know what I mean? He's just done that for like everybody.
By the capabilities of human sportsbook odds calculators, every moment of a sports game can be turned into a wager. With them saying, when you bet that Lamar Jackson would throw on 2nd and 10, why not bet again that he'll scramble for the first down on 3rd and 3? But it's also not just sports betting that's getting a taste of AI. Right? You're also seeing traditional casino websites giving each visitor a personalized dynamic homepage with the perfect game, be it bingo, slots, poker, pick your poison, with it then adapting to meet the player's desire at any moment and offering bonuses if they're getting dejected. But then also, it goes beyond the websites, right? If you go to the casino in person, you're now dealing with things like the startup N-Cube, which reportedly uses machine learning to optimize the placement of slot machines on the casino floor. And in fact, according to Insider, removing the total number of machines can actually increase the casino's win if the machines are arranged in a way that redirects players to games where they'll make larger bets. And this is casinos have figured out how to personalize the experience for each player as well, with some locations reportedly putting RFID chips inside every gambling chip and then tracking each person's behavior, building a digital profile.
I feel like it should be illegal. I feel like that should be illegal.
Automatically directing human workers to intervene accordingly. You know, whether that means a free drink, a bonus spin, or any other perk that keeps them playing longer. And I mean, when it comes to the marriage between gambling and
jail. Throw them in jail. You know what? Don't even stop at the CEOs of these gambling companies. Throw all the CEOs of the AI companies in jail too. Why not? Why not? Throw them in jail. Directly in jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go to jail.
AI, I mean, we're really just getting started. Right? I mean, when you look at what industry insiders are imagining for the future, it starts to get a little Brave New Worldy. With, for example, the consultant Deloitte's Global Lottery and Gambling Center of Excellence publishing a research paper last spring predicting that games could be personalized in real time for each gambler. With them writing,
yeah. Am I allowed to use AI to count the cards? The house is set up where it already has an edge in the first place. And now they're using AI to give themselves an even higher edge. But less I use AI to hedge the bets in my favor a little bit, then it becomes an issue. Then it becomes a problem. I could give them my entire life savings and neither them nor the government will blink, will not bite an eyelash. But if I were to win a little bit too much up 110% from my original bets, and then it's an issue. Then it's a problem. Then I get cut off. Then you need to step in. I don't like gambling. Also, I'm sitting back down. Oh, wait. All right, back down you go, chat. To me, my X-Men. You also start limiting how low you can bet if you win too much. Yeah, that's stupid. I hate that so much. I saw it's so funny. I bought the standing desk like 6 months ago, and I just have not used it at all to stand up until I fixed my cables last night. I'm like 1K in Blackjack, and Pit Boss had a talking to me the first time playing, and it was the nonsense of like not splitting two aces. Yeah, I don't like it at all.
That AI could allow the games themselves to generate content based on the explicit or even implicit actions of players, from instantly generating new items and playing levels to in-game characters that have lifelike discussions. And, with all this, you can items and content based on the in real time imagining for the future. It starts to get a little Brave New Worldy. With, for example, the consultant Deloitte's Global Lottery and Gambling Center of Excellence publishing a research paper last spring predicting that games could be personalized in real time for each gambler. With them writing that AI
Like,
could allow
that
the
should
games
be illegal. Legitimately illegal. But like, nah, another $1 billion to Israel, another 6 billion, another 10 billion, another $50 billion to Israel.
Themselves to generate content based on the explicit or even implicit actions of players, from instantly generating new items and playing levels to in-game characters that have lifelike discussions.
Gosh,
And, with
freaking
all
darn
this,
it.
you can probably guess what the human cost of all this profiteering is, and that is a virtual pandemic of gambling addiction. With the National Council on Problem Gambling estimating now that about 1% of American adults have a severe gambling problem and 2 to 3% have a mild or moderate problem, which, I mean, just talking about the United States, we could be talking about 7.5 to 10.5 million people. And I mean, if you go global, the numbers get really shocking. With seeing a recent report from the Lancet Public Health Commission on gambling finding,
Honestly, I think I might be there if I didn't hate sports. I don't hate sports, but I just don't like. I don't watch sports. Right now, let Polymart have a esports gambling situation. I still probably wouldn't do it. I don't even watch esports either. So never mind.
nearly 450 million people worldwide
I'm just risk averse, honestly. I don't like risks.
have experienced at least one behavioral symptom or negative consequence from gambling. As you'd expect, the habit can take a nasty bite out of a person's finances. With, for example, researchers at UCLA finding that states that have legalized sports betting saw bankruptcies jump 28% and debt collections rise by 8%. And that's in addition to lower credit scores, more auto loan delinquencies, and more debt consolidation loans. With then another paper finding that for every dollar a household puts into betting, it takes $2 out of safer long-term investments like retirement accounts. Or, I mean, in places like Brazil, reportedly the world's third largest sports betting market, people now spend as much as 1/5 of their welfare money on gambling, according to the Associated Press. But, with this, many critics and supporters alike, they agree that none of this is inevitable, and even the application of AI doesn't have to be exploitative. Right? In theory, the same software that profiles individual players so it can feed them more bets could instead be used to identify problem gamblers and wean them off.
Yeah, but like, Phil, why would they do that? Why would corporation stop people from giving them money? They're giving me a chemical ad, and it's so funny. Twitch.
And so, as one company even proposed, you could look for patterns, things like unusually large bets, declined deposits, playing.
Which is why, like, if you don't, want to gamble, you can just give your money to me. And I promise you, I will not gamble it away on an online sports betting casino. I will gamble it on slots though, because I will not gamble it on slots. I will use it to pay my bills. But hey, subs, they're there. They're not gambling. You get something and you pay for it. This is right, chat. Get it twisted. Start gambling. Gambling is an investment. Wait, where's that Osnox video? It's one of my favorite ones.
You. Games. Fun. Slots. Money. Slots. Wins. Gamble. Money. Gamble. Jackpot. Penthouse suite. Expensive cars. You with a girl. Winning money. 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 Wins. Gamble. Fun. Slots. 40-hour streams. You in a McLaren. Fucking buck. Gamble. More, you fucking pussy. More wins. More money. More slots. Charity. Gamble. Please gamble responsibly.
Please gamble responsibly. Also, I did see that apparently Adam 22 is going broke. That was pretty funny.
So on the one hand,
This is one of the good ones, right? Yeah. Hasan Reacts is a good channel. I also wanted to see this as well.
like, I see the catharsis, I see the resentment that a lot of people hold and why it's like kind of funny. But also on the other hand,
let's finish this before we get to the Trump tariff stuff.
At unexpected times, and then
I was going to the bot one. Hasan Archive. All the Hasan Archive ones are the bot ones.
to stop them. But I mean, really, with so many different ways and places to gamble, you'd almost certainly need regulators to get involved and protect consumers from predatory business practices in themselves. With some even throwing around the idea of placing a cap on deposits or imposing a maximum bet limit. And actually with that, back in September, Democrat Senator Richard Blumenthal and Representative Paul Tonko introduced the Safe Bet Act to get the ball rolling. Right? And that bill included limits on advertising, affordability checks, and restrictions on the use of artificial intelligence to create bets and target bettors. We then also saw in December the Senate Judiciary Committee holding its first hearing to address the harms to public health caused by sports betting.
It is virtually impossible to watch a sporting event today without being barraged by ads encouraging you to bet or hearing from a celebrity endorser about the latest parlay you should try.
NCPG estimates that every dollar spent to prevent and treat gambling addiction saves government at least $2 in criminal justice and healthcare related social costs.
With gambling addiction, the risk of suicide is omnipresent. Research shows that 1 in every 2 people suffering will contemplate suicide, and 1 in 5 will attempt.
But also, I would say, keep in mind that was from the last congressional session, and this one's got different people and different priorities. And so recently, you had Bill Miller, the president of the American Gaming Association, telling the National Council of Legislators from gaming states that he expected an industry-friendly federal government. With him saying we have a Republican president, Republican Senate, and Republican House. And so, what does that mean for the gaming industry? It means probably less pressure.
Okay, them calling themselves the gaming industry, immediate jail. And honestly, worse. What do you mean you're calling yourself the gaming industry? Call it what it is. It's gambling.
Sure. If he's right, that could be a striking development for the GOP, which, used to be...
Also, speaking of gaming. We're back in Platt, baby. We are back in Platt. That's right. I grinded my way. These were struggle games. Don't even ask me about these games. These were struggle games. My team was letting me down. These games. But we are back in Platt though. So W. After being in gold for entirely too long. Honestly, I want to hit diamond before the season ends, which is in 3 days.
I recognize
party of kind of the moral majority and just say no. But as Manhattan Institute fellow Charles...
Yeah. Yeah. But to be fair, my win rate tanked after yesterday with Cloak and Dagger. Because my team was letting me down. Like, I was not the problem here. This team was just, we got rolled. But this was not me. It was not my fault. This one also was not me, not my fault. SVP. Wait, hold on. How was I SVP and I lost 20 points? But like this person lost 9 points. Whatever. Just play more thing. My thing is dirty. I'll say it. My thing is dirty. The problem is that if I don't go heal, we just won't have any heals. Cause people always insta-lock duelist. I had one game where like there was 4 insta-lock duelists. That's all it was. That's all it was. Nobody will let me play with my thing. My thing is dirty. My thing is disgusting. Also, my KDA on Cloak and Dagger is 5.54. Like, come on. Like, okay, it's about the same on this person. Just 41%. Listen. Y'all don't understand how much I be strong. Also, let's go to just competitive. Okay, on just competitive is even worse. It's 35.5%. Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't understand. My thing is dirty though. My thing is crazy. My thing go wild. I had a 3 insta-lock Spideys yesterday. I can't wait for them to bring bands back to yo, my win rate used to be awesome back in the day. I used to have a 51% win rate. Man, they nerfed Cloak and Daggers. Maybe I should, honestly, maybe I should put down Cloak and Dagger. Well, okay, I don't know. My KDA is worse. My win rate is way better. So I've gotten better at the freaking game, but like they've nerfed Cloak and Dagger, and my team I think my teams are just bad. I think my teams are just worse. Like Invisible Woman's show. Adam Warlock is also not bad, but like he's just not great. Burrow not stacking really nerfed her, yeah. Everyone else is the problem. Everyone else is the problem, chat. This is true. Objectively true. Everybody else is the problem. All right, we'll say it. We'll say it. It's not me. It's not me. It must be everybody else. As Tim Pool says. It's not me. It must be everybody else. Let's continue.
Layman argued in a New York Times op-ed, they've embraced a new constituency of young men whom some have labeled barstool conservatives, right? With them pointing out the president's relatively liberal attitudes towards things like sports betting, marijuana, and cryptocurrency, with him concluding Trump seems willing, even eager, to embrace vice. But also, I would say, to be fair there, Kamala Harris wasn't exactly a moral crusader on those issues either. But she also ran campaign ads on DraftKings supporting legalizing marijuana and promised to encourage the growth of crypto markets. And of course, all of this, I mean, it comes at a time when it seems like virtually everything in American life is designed to be as addictive as humanly possible. I mean, you've got social media platforms, streaming services, online marketplaces, video games, pornography, cannabis, painkillers, even the Philip DeFranco show. Why can't you quit me? You know, all of those things and more, they're constantly competing for your money or your attention or both. And then you've got people like Nate Silver, whom I cited earlier, arguing that even putting capital G gambling aside, Americans have drifted toward a more volatile culture of risk-taking in general. You know, whether it's dating apps, venture capital, public health, politics. You know, with all that said, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? Because I will say, you know, that's a story, then now this is my personal opinion. I personally have conflicting feelings on this. I personally enjoy gambling. I am personally able to keep that in check. But as I've also looked more and more at the situation and the data, I've no longer, you might have noticed this, I no longer feel comfortable having those sorts of ads on this show and promoting it. And even though that was like fantasy sports rather than like straight up sports books, I was like, even if I'm gonna engage in those things and gamble myself, I don't wanna promote it. You know, that's the news, and then a little the Philip DeFranco show.
What is this thing? Why is there like an animate child on my screen, Phil?
Media platforms, marijuana, and cryptocurrency, with him concluding Trump seems willing.
Gotcha. Oh, that makes sense.
even eager to embrace vice. But also, I would say, to be fair there, Kamala Harris wasn't exactly a moral crusader on those issues either. But she also ran campaign ads on
True.
DraftKings supporting legalizing marijuana and promised to encourage the growth of crypto markets. And of course, all of this, I mean, it comes at a time when it seems like virtually everything in American life is designed to be as addictive as humanly possible. I mean, you've got social media platforms, streaming services, online marketplaces, video games, pornography, cannabis, painkillers, even the Philip DeFranco show. Why can't you quit me? You know, all of those things and more, they're constantly competing for your money or your attention or both. And then you've got people like Nate Silver, whom I cited earlier, arguing that even putting capital G gambling aside, Americans have drifted toward a more volatile culture of risk-taking in general. You know, whether it's dating apps, venture capital, public health, politics. You know, with all that said, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? Because I will say, you know, that's a story then now.
What are you eating? Del Taco. It's a cream cheese caramel thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Now, this is my personal opinion. I personally have conflicting feelings on this. I personally enjoy gambling. I am personally able to keep that in check. But as I've also looked more and more at the situation and the data, I've no longer, you might have noticed this, I no longer feel comfortable having those sorts of ads on this show and promoting it. And even though that was like fantasy sports rather than like straight up sports books, I was like, even if I'm gonna engage in those things and gamble myself, I don't wanna promote it. You know, that's the news and then a little bit of my opinion. And of course, I pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? And then I've got even more news for you in just a moment, but
I'm gonna call this section here. I want to go to the more influencers impacted by Trump's tariffs. Wait, more? Did I miss the part 1? Is this part 2 video? Oh, I did.
There's not even the aesthetics of the democratic process there. That's just like, nope, elites decide. Here, let's watch Dave Porkboy cry, losing $7 million overnight due to tariffs.
I almost tweeted out, Dave, how much are you down right now and today? 7 million. I'm down 7 million bucks in stocks and crypto. And it's Tariff City.
Honestly, deserved. I'm happy when bad things happen to bad people sometimes.
Trump has put his tariffs all over the place. I've been trying to understand.
Especially people who were pro-Trump. If you were pro-Trump, like, I'm not a big fan of fucking around and find out, but like, what are you doing? Like, this is directly what you voted for. Like, if you voted for Trump, you're saying that I'm voting for Trump because he's good for me, and you were surprised. He told you he was going to do this. He told you he was going to do this. That's an L. I'm sorry.
And I don't. Like, it's more a trade deficit tariff to me. Like, hey, we get this much shit from you and you get this much from us. Let's even that up. Let's get some wacky formula and do tariffs. And everything's in the shitter because of it. I almost tweeted out, Dave, how much are you down right now and today? 7 million. I'm down 7 million bucks in stocks and crypto.
I can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Yeah. Did you see Cutie get hit by tariffs? What, for her Depop shop? Not gonna lie, this does make me feel a bit better. Yeah, this is my attitude on the matter.
Like, I feel bad for like Cutie and other like business owners who are like going to be hit with the same prices and having to pay the prices of the tariff. But like, if you're getting hit by like the stock market bounce back for the tariffs, I'm sorry, that's kind of an L. If you were pro-Trump and you're getting hit by the market bounce back, like, I don't know if we feel bad for you.
which is that, like, listen, everybody's getting their retirement funds wiped out, okay, across the board. It's universal. And so you might as well experience a little bit of catharsis when you watch, like, some of these actual villains who champion this demise personally see repercussions. Now, percentage-wise, in totality, their repercussions are far, far greater than yours because you don't have a retirement account that can lose $7 million. Neither do I. But it's still fun, right? You might as well have a little bit of fun might as well try to enjoy the show as everything is collapsing all around. Might as well have this attitude. Exactly. Breaking world's 500.
Start marketing tariffs? Me worry? Nope. Simple. I trust Trump. This feels like a meme. This feels like a meme account.
Richest people have lost around $500 billion in the past 2 days, according to Bloomberg.
I don't have words to tell you. And let me tell you, I've been taken up to the third heaven. I've been jacked into the big plan. I've seen it. I can't even compute all of it. It's so fantastical. You've not seen nothing. You ain't heard nothing. You ain't smelled nothing like this. I don't have words to tell you. But I tell you, anybody tries to get in the way of the incredible plan the big guys got for us has got me pissed, and I'm just begging to stay on the team, man. Just put me in the game, coach. Whatever you say, coach. I know I'm weak. I know I'm pathetic. Man, you're amazing. I'm so lucky you made me. What do I do, Bob? Like a hunting dog, man. Just take me out of the house. Just turn me on them. Just tell me what I got to do. Tell me how I serve you. Tell me what I can do for you right now. Woo!
That's why he lost the weight. They sent him to the countryside to atone for his counter-revolutionary ways. That's why he's so skinny now. That's what happened. Like, look how he is here, like the capitalist pig that he is. And then they shipped his ass to the countryside, and he got re-educated, and now he's skinny and also a loyal servant of the peasant class, a loyal servant of the workers, a loyal servant of the proletariat. Yeah. He had his own personal cultural revolution. It's true. Honestly terrified with everything that's happening now. Is there anything we can do? I mean, this is the type of shit that you have no say or control over. So I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, we barely have any say or control over protesting against things that everyone should be on board with, like protesting against the destruction of the First Amendment, protesting against the destruction of the erosion of due process. But in terms of like foreign trade, trade policy, tariffs, and the like what the are you supposed to do? They're not asking you about any of that shit. They never have. I feel like when it comes to trade policy, when it comes to tariffs, things of that nature, there's not even the aesthetics of the democratic process there. That's just like, nope, elites decide. And in this situation, it's not even the elites deciding. It's like one guy deciding, seemingly, with a bunch of his friends. And there's not really anything you can do about it. You got to sit back and observe. Not everything needs a reaction. Sometimes it's okay to sit back and observe, you know? Akash from Flagrant, after market crash, I didn't vote for Trump. Oh, that's amazing.
Are you happy that the U.S. stock market is crashing?
Why?
Isn't that what you wanted?
I mean,
because you interviewed Trump?
Oh, yeah.
And voted for him?
I didn't vote for him.
Oh, okay, you just interviewed him for millions. For
For
millions of people.
If Kamala wasn't a Kutiju, we could have got her a win too.
Maybe she didn't want to come because maybe some of you guys shouldn't have podcasting equipment. Did you ever think about that?
Oh, yeah, that's good. What other TikTok talking point?
Wait, who is this?
You got it.
It's not a TikTok talking point.
That's a pretty good sentence though, right? Alliterative.
I'm not talking to you.
Bro, Akash, how the is he the luckiest man on the planet? You're already lucky as to be able to make like millions of dollars just shooting the shit.
And I will say that, like, she's a real for that. I will say, hold your applause. She's still married to like a right-wing conservative who like was totally fine with voting for and interviewing Trump. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to point that out. Like, she's still laid up next to him. She posted the funny video. She gets a couple of claps, a couple of laughs, a couple of, yeah, get it, like, you know, stick it to him, girl. She still lays up to him at night. She don't care about any of this. She was fine with taking the benefits of you know, of that. Well, not like the as you get the bag if she wants. Anyone sleeping with that freak deserves to get paid. That's how they politically neutralize themselves. I didn't know they were married.
It with your buddies with a podcast, but I know this is like the only person that he's ever been with. They've been because I remember watching a video. I remember watching a video of him talking about like his relationship with his wife, and it is crazy. Like no disrespect.
Like if they think that like they're gonna get divorced over this, like I just want to point you out that this is like there are like a number of like a common experience in America about like liberal women and conservative men. Like I think that is like the second most common form of relationship after like conservative men, conservative women, right? Because liberals don't date, obviously. They don't get married. It's not a thing. So you have conservative men and women is like the most common. And then you have conservative men and liberal women. And then you have liberal men and liberal women. And then you have freaking like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that sort of thing.
But holy.
Yeah, and then you have polycules.
His wife is so out of his league. How did the luckiest man on the planet? He has the heavens mandate, dude. Says you rewatching his content making millions, shaking my head. Yeah, that's why I said we're very fortunate. It's arranged, didn't do anything. Bro, he could have been arranged to something totally different, okay? This man, I didn't know it was like this at home, bro. I'm sorry. This is crazy. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, if you roll high on your first try, no need to roll again. Exactly. Yeah, no shit. He's only been with one woman, bro. What the the arranged thing is fake. I don't care. I don't care how this happened. All I'm saying is this man already is in like the top 1% of luckiest people on the planet by virtue of being in America, becoming a success.
Ghost Stun, thank you for the 6-month resubscription. Did I miss any more? I think I might have. Oh, Gayest Scorpio, thank you for the 3-month resubscription. Chachi, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. And Vaya, thank you for the 6-month resubscription as well. Chat, you know, you can subscribe as well. Go ahead and hit that subscription button. You can do it. It's free. Well, it's not free. That's totally a lie. It's free with Twitch Prime. So check if you have a Prime available. If you don't have a Prime, then you know you're kind of out of luck. But if you do have a Prime available, you can go ahead and use it on your favorite broadcaster. Maybe that's me. Probably it's me. It has to be me. Honestly, it's not anybody else. It's just me. Yeah. Let's continue.
Successful podcaster in America, and that's his wife. That's crazy. And she's smart. She's not even like a dum dum who she doesn't even like Donald Trump. Respect. Seriously, I don't know how I don't know what he did. I don't know what kind of rabbit's foot he carries with him everywhere he goes. But goddamn, dude, bro, you're live. Chill. Look, I'm just saying, he's a very, very fortunate. He has swung way above his pay grade on this one. This is entirely.
Hassan is like glazing. But is it glazing if it's a woman? Can you glaze a woman? I guess you can glaze a woman. But he's more simping.
Our investment
And it's not even disrespectful to him. I'm just, I'm glazing her.
Okay, well, yeah, he says it. Every third hetero couple. You check out the new Salon article. I said everyone, the most racist man alive. Yeah.
She's gorge, but made a mistake. Yeah, he's fine. What is this? Asmongold's thoughts on the tariffs. Every other post on here is the usual anti-woke crusaders trying to impose 34% tariffs. Trade wars begin. Well, I guess 2007 wasn't.
And just subscribe.
JKMLBRNN. Thank you for the tier 1. Much appreciated. See, that wasn't free. You gave me money. I respect that. I appreciate that.
That bad. Oh my God. Wait, are they, is this the moment? Is this the jump off point? Is this the moment where people are jumping ship? The rats?
No.
Are they escaping? I told you, the one thing that Americans care about, they're so selfish. They're so hopped up on hyper individualism and American exceptionalism that you hit them in their.
They'll just say, it would have been worse under Kamala. That's it. They'll be like, no, Kamala, it would have been worse. She would have, like, exploded the country and blew it up with like nuclear weapons. That's what they would say. They'll just, yeah.
Their pocketbook and they will scream, dude. You take away their treats, they will scream. No, they are not. Lamau, what is this? Will tariffs make the U.S. better or worse? 57% better. Okay, I don't. That's.
What do you mean, Hassan? That was a very scientific poll. Don't you know that Asmongold's polls of his shots are the most scientific poll to ever exist? The only accurate poll to ever exist. So, tariffs must be good. His chat said so. I was on her. I told you so tour right now. Yeah. Oh. Speaking of which, we'll get to this one as well. Tim Walz. Did y'all see this?
Because, you know, there were many things that we knew would happen.
Walz was never the problem. Walz was never the problem. I think he's not above criticism. And so he took a lot of L's by trying to be what they wanted him to be. He should have just said no. Right? He should have just said no. He should have just said, no, I'm going to do this my way. Right? And so I think because he wasn't pretty quiet on the genocide. And I think that's because, like, he felt like he needed to play ball. Right? And I feel like she shouldn't have. For him saying that, like, oh, Israel has a right to exist and they're an ally for this country. Like, I don't think he wanted to say something like that. I don't think he necessarily cares. Right? But he felt like he needed to because, like, he was supposed to play ball. And now, and I will respect him for this if he continues going on his path. Now he's breaking away. He has the national attention, which is good. And now he doesn't need Kamala. He doesn't need Kamala. He doesn't need Joe Biden. He has the national attention. And now he should utilize that attention to actually say the things that he believes and get himself, if he wants to move on from the governorship into like congressional office or potentially run in 2028, setting himself up for that in the future. You know what I mean? He does not care about foreign policy, I think. I don't think that's true. I think he does care about foreign policy. Right? Because he's spoken positively about China. Right? What's going on tour? He says he wants to stay governor. I think that he's lived in China. Like he's like super pro China. Right? He's had good takes on foreign policy before. And I want more from him. Obviously, I want more from him to, like, you know, denounce Israel and talk about Palestinians and be like an actual progressive voice. I'm not saying like you should join the squad or whatever, but like actually being a progressive voice. Right now, he's kind of straddling that line. He's caught between the neoliberal and the progressive right now. He's not as progressive as like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Anna Presley, Summer Lee. He's not there, right? He's also not full neoliberal like you know, Kamala Harris. He also shouted out Cory Booker. That's not surprising. You know what I mean? In a vacuum, I can see if you're a Democrat, you say, yeah, what Cory Booker did is good or whatever. You know what I mean? Our professor said Cory Booker was brave. Yeah, like that's the normal take. It's not the progressive take, right? But it's the normal take. And so I think we could, if there was any concept of moving anybody in the Democratic Party to the left, I think Tim Walz is the person. Kamala is not the person. Joe Biden is not the person. Hillary Clinton is not the person, right? Kamala would be the person. Isn't Cory Booker Islamophobic? Yes, he is. 100%.
Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris back with a little I told you so this week as President Trump's tariffs are setting off global shockwaves. So what does Harris's former running mate think? Well, Democratic Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota has been on a national town hall tour through red congressional districts from Iowa to Texas.
Like, he's doing what Kamala Harris, if she truly cared, would be doing. What Tim Walz is doing and what Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing are what Kamala Harris should be doing if she actually cared. Kamala Harris going on an I Told You So tour, going on book tours, signing with talent management agencies, instead of actually doing the work, just shows that, like, she was never going to win in the first place. But Tim Walz going on a town hall tour to red districts to see what people who voted for Trump actually believe, right? To do the work, to connect with the working class, in the same way that, like, Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing, perfectly illustrates exactly why he would be a significantly better candidate than Kamala Harris was.
To Ohio, and he joins us now from Columbus. Democratic Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. You're the governor of an agriculture-heavy state, one of the top 5 in the country, I believe. What's your reaction to what you just heard from the agriculture secretary?
Yeah, good morning, Jake. Well, I'm stunned. Your questions were spot on. It's very clear that she talked about the people she's listening to. That is not the agricultural community. It is certainly not producers. It's not folks like Cargill, CHS, General Mills, who are out in my district. Look, this is a really precarious time, and the flippant nature that we're just trying something new here is really dangerous. These markets took us years to develop, and we have to be dependable trading partners. They don't come back overnight. And everyone knows in the history of trade wars, agriculture gets hit the hardest. So I'm deeply concerned. It's our number one.
I feel bad for Tim Walz for making him pick a side. He's an American governor, but, like, he's actually Chinese on the inside. So, like, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Does he side with his true Chinese heritage? Or does he does he attach himself to the governorship of America? Who knows?
On export, adding the tariffs, our 2 biggest, export markets are Mexico and Canada. They're our great friends. This is just really, really terrifying. I would encourage, and I'll call the secretary, I'd encourage her to come to Minnesota and see everything that she said is not what's happening on the ground. So look, it's a precarious time.
So let me ask you, because another group you're in touch with, the United Auto Workers Union, you have a lot of that. They have supported you for years and years and years. They were excited to have you on the Democratic ticket. President Trump argues that these tariffs are needed to bring American manufacturing back and to help American workers left behind in places like Minnesota. He has support from the UAW. The UAW called his auto tariffs, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework that has devastated the working class. It signals a return to policies that prioritize the workers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stupid statement from the UAW specifically, because, like, he's not doing auto tariffs. He's not. He's doing tariffs across all industries. I don't know what the UAW is thinking. No, I think the UAW is correct in thinking that things that bring back American manufacturing is good. Their goal is not to care about other people. Like, I think people don't understand this. The goal of the UAW or a goal of a union is not to care about what other workers want over there, right? The union is supposed to protect their workers and their interests, right? And so that's what they're doing. They're saying, yeah, so these tariffs are going to bring back American manufacturing jobs back to America, and we will protect auto workers who are the people that we represent. That's a good thing, right? But they're stupid because it's not doing that. We don't have the facilities to build all of the cars here. We don't. It takes time to do that. Doing blanket tariffs, right? Like 50% tariffs on freaking China or whatever is not going to solve American manufacturing. You need regulation on these businesses and forcing them over the course of 2 to 10 years to start building and prioritizing American manufacturing. and not just say, okay, starting now, no more imports at all, ever. That's not going to do anything but raise prices for everywhere. I built 2 factories last night. It's just easy, yeah. Like, I'm all for targeted tariffs to bring out manufacturing too. The problem is that the USW isn't even making it, saying like Trump is doing that. Like, why make the argument for him when that hasn't happened yet? I don't know. And so, like, it's not surprising to me that they are pro-tariff, right? But they're not like, yeah, Trump isn't doing that. I don't know. Maybe if they think that if they get on Trump's good side, that he'll do more tariffs on the auto industry. But like, they understand, like, the companies with no regulation are just going to pass the cost off onto the consumers. They just will. There needs to be tariffs without regulations are just price hikes. That's it. Tariffs without regulations are just blanket, unfettered inflation. They're just passing the buck off to, like, from the importers to the companies to the consumers. They're just price hikes. Look, yeah, I think that they are just stupid. I don't think they're stupid. I think they are viewing it very much as so, like, I don't care about other workers. I don't care about how much things are going to cost in this country. We need manufacturing back in America, and Trump is starting that process. It seems like a regular left winger to me. I was disappointed in them backing Harris so early. I feel like this doesn't make sense for him to do. I don't even freaking know, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Build this country rather than the greed of ruthless corporations, unquote. I have to say, that sounds a lot.
That's how they use the word free trade. There was never free trade in the auto industry, especially with NAFTA to USMCA provisions.
Like language you would use. What do you say to the UAW?
Yes. It is what I would use. And here's the thing that the Democrats have to figure out. Donald Trump's language around this, he's not wrong that we've had manufacturing gutted. He's not wrong that we saw an outshoring. People of my generation were told, there aren't going to be any manufacturing jobs, so you need to go to college and rack up student loan debt. The problem is Donald Trump's solution to this is not the solution. Now, UAW...
Like, Tim Walz is correct on this so far. He said nothing that's incorrect here.
Who's right. Certain tariffs, if they're on to steel or if they're targeted correctly, do make a difference. That's not what we're dealing with here. So just last week, 650 taconite miners are laid off. Those taconite miners are mining the taconite to make the steel to build the automobiles. So I don't disagree where they're at, and I think this is the Democratic dilemma. Donald Trump talks about the things that are real in the angst of people's lives. He doesn't do a damn thing about it. In fact, he does just the opposite, and he pals around with the people that caused the problem, and we don't offer him a solution, so it looks like we're not hearing him. So I disagree with Sean Fain and UAW on this issue. I don't disagree with them on that we made decisions over the last 30 to 40 years that I don't think helped America, but this is not the solution to it. Isolating ourselves is not the solution. We need to make sure that we're focusing. And again, I would just end with this, Jake. Donald Trump has not once ever cared about workers. This is why you need to support unions across the board, support the ability to have a living wage.
So we heard your former...
True. I think Tim Walz is savable. I honestly, maybe this is the naive person in me. I think that I think he genuinely thinks he cares, he's doing the right thing. And that I think that he can be converted into, like, actually, not being like a freaking, like, Maoist or whatever, but more effective in what he believes. You know what I mean? Does Trump return to office policies you order for your state workers? If you disagree with them so much, why are you mind policy? Again, this is like, this is not like a Trump policy, chatter. I was going to bring this up after the video. This isn't a Trump policy. This is a Democratic policy. This is a Democratic policy. This is Tim Walz being a regular standard Democrat. This is not a Trump policy. Democrats were for this. Joe Biden pushed for return to office as well. So yeah, Tim Walz is not perfect. Honestly, I'll go as far as saying he's not good. Right? But this is normal democratic process, because it's pro-capital. This is pro capital owners. Like, that's what it is. I guess it's better whenever Kamala was doing, yeah. And I think it's more of an indictment on Kamala than it is pro like Tim Walz. Like, Tim Walz is what, like, Tim Walz is like Democrat 2008, Obama era Democrat. We've gotten so far away from then for, like, again, for domestic policies. Again, Obama was terrible on foreign policies, but on domestic policies, we've gotten so far away from that. It moved so staunchly to the right, where, like, the Democrats are now doing or saying that we need to build a border wall. We need to expand ICE and more border security, right? Democrats are now anti-trans. Democrats are anti-worker, right? Like, they are doing. There's a ambulance. Like, so, like, Tim Walz is like kind of like a return to normalcy. Like, he's like a normal Democratic politician instead of like the crazy things that they pushed forward for like last year. Yeah, for chatters who don't know, Newsom ordered this shit before Walz. This is a Dem policy. Exactly. Governor Newsom orders return to office. States look to hire former federal workers, including firefighters and forest staff, seeking employment. Governor Gavin Newsom orders state agencies to update telenetwork policies to reflect the default expectation for at least 4 days in office per week, beginning July 1st, 2025. Right? So again, my point is not to defend Tim Walz here for this policy. The point is to say that this is not a Trump-era policy. This is Democratic policy. This is Democratic policy. It sucks. It's stupid. Just start his own party. One day, chat will learn to not try to think people are going to start their own party, because it's not going to happen. Is policy pressured by capital owners? Yeah.
Former running mate Kamala Harris say she's not here to say "I told you so," although obviously that's
Wait,
what
hold
she was
on.
saying.
Okay,
this is the important part.
Support unions across the board, support the ability to have a living wage.
So we heard your former running mate Kamala Harris say she's not here to say "I told you so," although obviously that's what she was saying about all the Trump chaos. We're saying, I have to say though, what does "I told you so" really mean here? I mean, people heard her message. They did not vote for her. She lost every battleground state. You yourself have criticized the Harris-Walz campaign for being too cautious. She may have told the American people, she may have warned the American people, but she didn't do it compellingly enough to win.
That is the absolute point. And look, when I criticize, I'm criticizing myself. I own this. I'm part of the ticket. And somebody has to come up with a strategy. I think this is exactly right. This is the thing. Look, Democrats, it was a good night in Wisconsin. I was over there. We saw that happen. Donald Trump's doing this. Just to be clear, nobody on the Democratic side is celebrating this, and those folks in the street are not celebrating that Donald Trump's making all these errors. I think what the vice president's saying is that was pretty self-evident that he was going to do that. I do think the challenge for Democrats, and this is, I think, a structural problem that's going to take a lot more thinking, why, with all of that out there, did they not think we were any better than that? And they didn't.
Cook, Tim. Cook. This is what we've been saying for years at this point. Exactly. That's the point. That's the point. And like, maybe too little too late. But like, we've been saying that you're not giving people a reason to vote for you. I need some water, by the way. Here.
Happen. Donald Trump's doing this. Just to be clear, nobody on the Democratic side is celebrating this, and those folks in the street are not celebrating that Donald Trump's making all these errors. I think what the vice president's saying is that was pretty self-evident that he was going to do that. I do think the challenge for Democrats, and this is, I think, a structural problem that's going to take a lot more thinking, why, with all of that out there, did they not think we were any better than that? And they didn't. And I'm very think a structural problem that's going to take a lot more thinking. Why, with all of that out there, did they not think we were any better than that? And they didn't. And I'm very concerned.
Hey, so thank you for the 7-month resubscription. Much appreciated. Welcome back. Happy 7 months. Wait a minute, chat. It's April 8th. I've been streaming for 2 years. I did my first real stream on April 8th, 2023. Happy birthday. Thank you. We'll talk about it after I get through this. Your stream is in Aries.
Folks who stayed home. And these are folks that I'll say once again, Donald Trump has identified their angst. They can't buy a house. They can't afford to get a good education. They're concerned that their economic future is so precarious it could slip out from under them. Less than half of Americans have $1,000 in savings. And I think, why was it not so compelling? It should have been a slam dunk for us to say, we're the party that cares about that. We're the party that's going to protect Social Security and Medicare. We're the party that thinks the ACA is a good start, but we need to do more on health care. And we didn't do that. So I'm concerned. Democrats do well in special elections and off-year elections, but the electorate that comes
He's
in
correct on this, by the way, 100%. Special elections, off-year elections, Democrats do significantly better than they do in general. Significantly better. And one must ask why that is. And maybe it's because, right, when it comes to like local special elections, right, when like Democrats have a decent chance of actually speaking to what workers like and working class people want, they do a lot better than when in the general when they're talking about like, hey, vote for me because the other guy is bad, right? Like this doesn't resonate with actual like average people. Special elections are for the most politically informed. That's true.
Election years is different. When I was young, it was easy to know what a Democrat was. They stood with the working class and labor. Republicans were country club and for the rich. Today, you ask people, they don't. We have a 29% approval rating.
Yeah.
It doesn't help us any that Donald Trump ends up with a 25% approval rating. We have to get back to the core issues that this is about making America prosperous and stable and innovative for everybody.
Well, what do you make of the criticism that one of the reasons why your party was so resoundingly rejected last November is because Democrats were gaslighting the country, saying that inflation was not a big deal, heralding Bidenomics. Not only Biden, but Kamala Harris was heralding Bidenomics, pretending that there wasn't.
Okay. It's surreal to see, but like, chat clocked it specifically, directly, at like the same time. It's surreal to see like Jake Tapper act like he was not a part of doing that directly. And we knew this was gonna happen, right? As soon as Trump would get elected, these same liberals would turn around and start actually doing journalism and be like, well, one must ask why the Democratic Party stood alongside Bidenomics and sat there and acted like the economy was good when working class people were struggling. Right? As soon as Trump was elected, but when it came to like the last 4 years, they were right alongside Joe Biden being like, but the metrics and the keys say that the economy is actually pretty astounding. So yeah, I don't know what people are talking about. Maybe the polling is actually off and the metrics for the polling are off. But yeah, the metrics have shown us that all key standards for all economic growth and productivity and prosperity have all been pretty adequate, actually. But now Trump's in office, and they're like, now they want to do like actual critique and analysis.
A problem at the border. And then fundamentally, this heralding Bidenomics, pretending that there wasn't a problem at the border. And then fundamentally, this idea.
Okay, well, and I went to the border stuff with like, there's not a problem at the border.
President Biden was up for another 4 years of the job while Americans in poll after poll for year after year were saying he's too old to do the job. Your party stood against all of those things.
Look, Joe Biden coming in and doing COVID and being a governor through COVID did a hell of a job. But I think one of the things that we didn't do is we assumed that we said, and it was true, that we were going to have a soft landing and our economy was better than the rest of the world. Better for who? Better for the working class who was saying groceries were too expensive, as they are now and going up. They got to see us talk about things. Again, I go back to this. Don't talk about food insecurity or housing type of issues. Talk about people being hungry and wondering where they're going to live, or about their children's future, about real security. And so I think your question is...
yeah, he's correct. In that, like, the way the Democrats says things puts people off of puts people off of what the policies actually are. Right, we're like, well, if actually you look at the metrics for food insecurity, actually we've gone down 0.5%, or like 0.25% of food insecurity as compared to a Trump administration. So therefore, less people are going hungry. Like, people don't want to hear that. They know, and they look and they see the fact that they are food insecure. They can't afford food, no matter what your metrics say. So when you sit there and you say the economy is doing better, right? Like, yeah, if the economy is like a few percentage points better than they were under Trump, cool, happy for you, good for you. But you have to understand that that's not going to resonate with voters because their material conditions are still the same. And they just didn't understand that.
Is spot on. I think we got intellectualized on this. I think the fact of the matter is Joe Biden did soft land the economy. He did usher us through COVID. None of us are saying we should be soft on the border, but we allow a vacuum and...
I mean, I don't think we should be hard on the border because the border is not an issue. And I hate that bro. I hate that we've officially ceded ground on the border. It's cooked. We've cooked on that. We've ceded ground. We're done. If you ever want to return to a space or a time where the Democrats are not like an anti-border party along with the Republicans, it's never happening. We've lost that battle. The ship has sailed. The ship has sailed.
Donald Trump fills it, the 800-pound gorilla, and their narrative starts to stick, and we look weak. We look weak like we don't care. We look like look, Jake, I'm not going to say, we need to do is we need to just arrest people and ship them to El Salvador. No, we need to invest the money on border. We need to make sure that we have the judges necessary to adjudicate things faster. We need to make sure if you're going to be in this country here legally, and when you are, you're going to be uplifted, celebrated, and part of this great American tapestry. We didn't do that, and then it fills them. They'll find the example that is horrific where you have someone who's not here legally and they commit a crime. That is horrific, but we don't do a good job of telling that.
Don't you think your party needs to acknowledge that President Biden was not up for the job of running for re-election and that this was a major mistake by the
He made that decision.
I know, but you all went along with the idea that he was up for it, and he wasn't. And everybody saw it, and the country rejected it.
Yeah, well, look, history will tell us to go back on that. That very well could be the case, Jake. What I'm concerned about is learning from those lessons. I would hope we would never do it again, make a mistake.
Like, yeah, this is Jake Tapper being slimy. Because Jake Tapper was right alongside pushing Biden as the candidate up until like from February to June. And now he wants to be like, well, don't you think that the Democratic Party has to establish the fact that like you are directly at fault for everything that's going on here because you wanted Joe Biden to run? Which I believe, by the way. I believe that's the case. But Jake, you can't say that because you were against him stepping down when that was being floated. Why is he blaming Walt anyway? Because he's redirecting, right? Or like he's reflecting. He knows that's what the audience wants to hear. He knows this is what his liberal audience wants to hear. Because the liberal audience does blame Joe Biden, right? The liberal wine moms, they won't blame Kamala Harris. They think that she got, she got she pulled the short stick and it was kind of watched to begin with. They do blame Joe Biden for staying in the race, right? And so because Jake Tapper knows that the CNN wine moms blame Joe Biden, he must now also blame Joe Biden to like placate his audience, essentially. Jake Tapper is audience captured. That's it. That's the answer. If you ask the question of why did Jake Tapper do anything, it's because he is audience captured.
Make sure we go through and get someone, but I don't know where it helps us going forward. I certainly am deeply concerned that Donald Trump is going to lead us down a horrific look. Thank God it's tariffs that he said. Donald Trump listens to no one. Remember, Donald Trump has statements about, I don't think nuclear war would be that bad. I guess we're lucky that he went after tariffs instead of that route. Yeah. We have an issue in this country that is going to impact us. And if there is not a loyal opposition, if there's not some soul searching on our side, if there's not reaching out to those folks who...
But that is unique. He pinpoints Joe's arrogance and shit policies. As for the fall of what's happening now, fully acknowledge that Kamala had a campaign.
Are in the streets, they're leading right now.
So quick question.
I would tell everybody, you better get with them. Yeah.
Quick question, because we got to go. But you said you're not going to run for the Senate seat there. Are you going to run for a third term for governor? Are you possibly going to run for president in 2028?
Well, I'm certainly thinking about running again in Minnesota if that's what they want. I am not thinking about running in 2028. And my advice to folks is if in this moment you're planning for 2028, you're going to get rolled by the people in the streets. You just need to be out there making sure you're helping and doing things like Cory Booker's doing things like Bernie Sanders, AOC, things that...
He's correct, though.
That we see people out talking to folks. So
he's like calling out Bernie and AOC. I think Tim Walz is kind of soft launching a more progressive persona. He's like publicly separating from Kamala Harris and publicly being contentious to Kamala Harris and from the Joe Biden campaign. I think I can definitely see him aligning more with AOC and Bernie Sanders and like the progressive wing. But he gotta drop the border stuff. Legitimately, he has to drop the border stuff. He does. How old is he? He's the same age as Kamala Harris, actually. They're the same age, like twinsies. They see too much ground, so now we have mass sentiment on the border issue, even if that's not reality. I know, and it sucks. It sucks. I can't tell if he's holding back or not. I think he's holding back. Aren't he doing what Kamala Harris should have done in her campaign? Yeah. Legitimately, if Tim Walz was the nominee, to be fair, I still think he would have lost. I think it would have been closer, though. I think, genuinely, this election was kind of cooked. I don't know who could have won from where Joe Biden dropped out at. Legitimately, I don't know who could have legitimately won. It's legitimately twice there. The Rock, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama might have gotten us the closest. I still don't know if she would have won. That was almost back to zero after the early gains. Well, we're going to be here for a while, chat. I strongly believe that would have meant Dents would have had to have taken a risk, and they clearly weren't. Yeah. 20 years younger Bernie? Yeah. You think they might have had a chance if they ran on an arms embargo on Israel and domestic decent policies? They would have had a better chance. Do I think they could have won? It depends. They would have needed to like do everything correctly. I don't think Michelle would have won. She's too connected to the past administration. I don't agree, and polling doesn't agree. Polling stated that Michelle Obama was the front runner, way above even Kamala Harris. So she might not have won, but she would have had the best chance of a lot of people. I would say.
For me, I
was saying, I think they would have needed to have had a decent candidate, like a Tim Walz, maybe Andy Bashir. They would have needed to have a decent candidate who was able to separate from the past administration, run on working class issues, And I mean, I can say that I would want them to do an arms embargo, but it wouldn't have captured enough of the third party votes for them to have won. So something else had to have changed as well. And so you would also need good domestic policies. We need to completely abandon the constituent class. Yeah. Honestly, if they ran they need a full primary with 2 full years, a full 2 years run up to the primary, they did not use a new cycle. Yeah. They would have needed to like not have elected Joe Biden in the primary in February. Legitimately. I think Kamala could have actually, won if Kamala had gotten the nomination in February, did not pander to Republicans, and separated from Joe Biden. Right? But it happened too late. The policies were too Republican coded, and people just decided to stay home.
Get through this legislative session. If the folks in Minnesota want me, I'm kind of inclined to do that. And I just want to play my part to make sure we cannot afford to allow Donald Trump or his successor to go forward, because you're seeing the pain.
Good to have you back here, Governor Walz. Oh, and happy birthday. 61 years young today. Congratulations.
Oh, he's 61 as we find out.
61. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
Endless Cemetery, thank you for the 3-month resubscription. And on top of it, it's funniness, I remember talking about the OG tweet in the stream. What did Jenk say this time? We really were screwed at the point of the 2019 primary results. Joe and the gang did zero planning overall for team leadership. Yeah. It was, I will say, it was the loss. Even if they won the 2024 election, the loss was inevitable. You cannot win by running on being the perpetual party. You can't win on just elect me every time so the Republicans don't have any power. It's impossible. Even if they happened to squeak out a win in 2024, it would have happened in 2028. Or it would have happened in 2032. It's, again, as I described it, it's kicking the can down the road. Just kick the can down the road. Trump team said they cut the Pentagon. You all saw with your own eyes. Now Trump is bragging about adding $150 billion to the Pentagon to make it $1 trillion budget. The Pentagon can't pass an audit, can't even account for half of their budget, and now they're going to get even more pork. Why does your assessment of politics change based upon who's paying attention to you, specifically a billionaire? The politics have not changed at all. I've wanted to cut the Pentagon for 20 years. Do you not want to cut it because Elon or Trump does, if they really do? And then my point is Democrats are not responsive to their base, and MAGA responded to our policies before they did. Yeah, this is just Cenk being, I think, I don't want to say Cenk is a grifter, but more just like, I think he's a grifter. Honestly. Oh, no, I think he's a grifter. I do. I don't want to say he's a grifter, but I do think he's a grifter. I think this is grifting. This is 100% grifting. What's up, Apollo? He could just be kind of dumb. No, I think he knows better. He might be dumb, but I think he knows better. I think he knows better. And that, like, it's just like he was getting audience attention. Like, the right was paying attention to him as like the token progressive who was on their side. And he doubled and tripled down on that. You know what I mean? That's why I think he's a grifter. Or I think he was grifting when he was doing stuff like this. think Jake is just fake his true goal is money and clout and not some progressive ideology. That's what I think he's a grifter for. Yeah. I like genuinely, I think this is a grift. I think he saw that he got a lot of attention from like Charlie Kirk and from Tim Pool and Elon Musk and maybe even Trump. He saw he got attention for being the token progressive who was on their side. And that became his worldview. That like Trump and Elon are going to save us because the Democrats suck. He's like Jimmy Dore. I think if you would consider Jimmy Dore a grifter, you would consider Cenk a grifter as well. You know what I mean? That's what my take is. And it sucks to say it, but like that's the only way I can describe how he acted for the last 9-10 months. Because it's also a pretty new thing. I think old Cenk, like Cenk from a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, I don't think he was a grifter. I think he was a liberal who got into some money, owned a media company, saw that crime was an issue and crime was super bad and he has to call out crime. And so his material conditions kind of informed his positions. Right? But now I think him doing stuff like this about like Elon and Trump are going to save the country and like they're claiming they're going to cut the Pentagon. Like, I don't think that Cenk even really believed that, but he had to believe it because he got attention for it. This tweet got 1 million views, chat. 1 million views. He was getting quoted by like Charlie Kirk with being like, see, I don't agree with everything that Cenk says, but like he's right on this. Glad to see we're on the same side. Glad we can see to see that like common sense prevails along like, you know, political lines or whatever. Is that exciting when he wrote his book about how everyone should listen to polling above everyone else? Really? When he screened that Assange during Thanksgiving, made me think he was dead serious. I actually don't know that it's that new. He backed Anna tooth and nail, even against trans employees during the whole birthing person saga. Yeah, but I don't think that's grifting. I think that is his actual beliefs. I think he's anti-crime. I think he's anti-union. I won't say he's transphobic because I don't know his takes that well, right? But genuinely, I think that those are positions that or beliefs that he believes. Position that he has. He's anti-crime, right? He thinks the left is too soft on crime, and he's anti-union, right? He's transphobic. I don't know. Right? And so with that being the case, I think that is his genuine beliefs, right? This, I don't even know if he truly does believe that Trump and Elon are going to like cut the Pentagon. If he does, he's stupid. If he doesn't, he's a grifter. And then that's fair for us to say. He's either stupid or he's a grifter. And let's get back to this. More influencers being impacted by Trump's tariffs. Or both? True.
That's how damaging this is. Explaining the Trump tariff equation, I have explained it so many times. Well, not the mathematical side of it, but I've explained to you how stupid.
Okay, I kind of want to see this video a little bit.
The tariff structure is and how silly it is, why it's dumb to do it. I feel like I'm gonna keep having to explain it over and over again.
Oh wait, hold on. There's a community down on this tweet. Back to the Minecraft movie for a second.
You are looking at a guy who just got referenced in the Minecraft movie. Oh man, I was watching it. Bunch of people, totally packed. And all of a sudden, Jack Black goes, all right, ready? Hold on. He goes, hold on, let me get the light on my face. He goes, son of a biscuit. do you like my sword? Something like that. I just blacked out. As soon as I heard Son of a Biscuit, I was like, ah! And everyone in the audience was like, the reference to Buscus. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't believe him. He does say, Jack Black does say, son of a biscuit. Right? He does not say, do you like my sword? Right?
Oh, that's me.
And he's like, everyone's like, oh, wow, he referenced Tobuscus.
Oh, man.
Because no one's ever said son of a biscuit before.
It's
Yeah.
actually a great movie. I love it.
Also, like, his meme is not son of a biscuit. It's nugget biscuit. Like, very clearly. Like,
Love it. I blacked out, like I said, so I didn't watch most of it, but whew, that is a good part. Minecraft. Subscribe.
yeah, like, so, like, and I think he's coping because Technoblade was very clearly referenced. Very clearly referenced in the movie. Right? Because there's a point in the movie where, like, they're walking through a village and Jack Black is like taking the kid and like the other 4 people into the village. And they see there's a pig that walks out with a crown on its head. And then the kid's like, is that a king? And then Jack Black was like, no. That's a legend. That's what happens in the movie. That's what happens in the movie. I didn't know there was a Dan TDM or a Mumbo reference. That was cool though. That was cool. It was nice to see. Minecraft movie felt like it lasted 3 minutes. I don't know why it's not surprising to me that Apollo actually went to see the Minecraft movie. But it seemed like the most Apollo thing to do. Oh, also happy 2 years, Apollo. Following since 04/08/2023. Also found out that Jack Black is the raging Zionist too. For context, I don't know much about politics. Yeah, he is quite pro-Israel. I was a fan as a kid, and he said all this weird racist stuff, which is super sucks. Yeah, Tobuscus is kind of crazy. My brother's like 14. That's not me. I was kind to him and took him to a movie. Sure. He just threw his buddy under the bus completely. Yeah. Oh, he got 4 hours left until 2 years. Yeah, this did not happen in the Minecraft movie. That's crazy. But no, the movie sucks, honestly. I don't recommend you watch it. I know Northern reviewed the movie. I let him. Oh, wait, what did Northern say? Did we turn him into Minecraft movies BDS or not? I would say don't watch it if you haven't seen it already. I think it's removed enough to be like genuinely, I didn't know. Or it was another terrible cash grab. It does. It's a terrible cash grab. Yeah. I already made a video on the line's comments. Let's take a look.
Yes, sir. That's all right. Chicken jockey. Yes, sir. Let's get it all out of the way. This is a crafting table. Flint and steel. Invest in the S&M 500 because you like pain. What the fuck are you talking about, man? The hell are you saying? That being said, that's a good point. That's fucking facts, man. The children yearn for the mines and they yearn for a weekend recap because I had a busy weekend, man. Let me run you through the basics, okay? Saturday morning, my daughter finished an activity. We went straight to an eye test. She passed with flying colors. This is how business should be done. We had an eye test. It took 4 minutes. They said she doesn't need glasses. We said, how much do I owe you? They said, it's on the house. This one's on the house. We didn't do anything. I said, just for that, you can catch me this week, buddy. You can catch me this week. Because I need an eye test too, and I need new glasses. That's how we're doing business in this bitch.
That is actually super based and awesome. Which, to be fair, it should be free anyway. If you like, there should be a free consultation for the eye test, and like, if you don't need glasses, you don't pay anything. And if you do need glasses, then you just buy the glasses. If it takes 5 minutes, that makes sense to me. Makes sense to me.
So that was step one. What do we do after that?
Which is why, oftentimes in America, they will. You can go to like a optometrist, or not even optometrist. If you go to like freaking Target that has like an eyeglass store, if you go to an eyeglass store for your eye test, they will tell you need glasses, right? They will say you need glasses. Even if you have perfect vision, they'll be like, well, I mean, you read, don't you? And you're like, yeah. Well, yeah, then you need reading glasses, right? You don't want to strain your eyes when you're reading, right? You know, those words on the page, like paper books, really, you need glasses. You're like, I read on my iPad. Well, if you read on a device, you definitely need reading glasses, because when you read on a screen, like, when you read on a screen, like, it's, you know, you need glasses. I'm just like, they will just try to sell you glasses regardless.
Whoa, we freaking voted, man. I had like, my daughter was at another
growing up would do free ear exams biannually. I really hope they kept it up. It's helpful for the neighborhood. Glasses can make me literate. Chat, nobody can make you literate.
So I thought that there was gonna be time for me to like knock out.
Also, in case you're wondering, I have 2015 vision. Not as good as the chatter with 2010 vision. All right, yeah. Go ahead and flex on me one time. But I have 2015 vision.
Bunch of errands. It turns out that there was like a huge line at every single voting facility. So I had time to do exactly one errand, which was voting, which took like an hour and a half to 2 hours. But this doesn't happen often in the civic world of politics. My candidates won in a landslide. That was nice to see. I was asleep by the time that the voting was done. But when I woke up, I was like...
I love how this just has like nothing to do with the Minecraft movie for the first 2 minutes of this video, by the way. It was you read the fine print of the eye test thing and it shocks people.
Holy cow, I'd have never woken up to results like this. My candidate's like 4x the people that weren't as good, in my opinion.
Northern Lion is a socialist confirmed.
Any insano candidates? Yeah, a couple. I'm trying to think of what the hell. Oh, and then that afternoon, of course, we saw the Minecraft movie, which genuinely, Kate was looking at me like through the movie, and I was looking at her.
With Librarian. They follow me on Twitter.
I did not know that there was like a meme related to the movie. Like I knew the movie was memey.
Chicken jockey. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I can't do that.
I didn't know that it was like Gen Alpha Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like there were multiple times. It goes without saying, everybody in the audience that wasn't us was repeating like all of Jack Black's lines back at the screen.
Okay, we didn't have that. Honestly, if we went to AMC, maybe we would have that, but we did not. We went to Regal because we were AMC was too expensive. AMC charged $10 more per ticket than Regal did. Bro, excuse me. No, thank you. So,
like people were screaming and going like no and crying, and there were like 4 applause breaks. People clapped like they landed the movie theater when the movie was over. My daughter, she was scared.
Landing the plane. That's so funny.
She said many times, she said, I want to go. And I said, just cover your eyes. The pig sorceress isn't going to be here like the whole time. And then when the movie was over, she said, That was her favorite movie of all time.
Stop.
She was into it. And she
Stop. Bro, her favorite movie of all time? Disown her? She's 4, bro? That's too old. That movie was garbage. That movie was so bad.
She laughed, and all weekend, anytime I needed to put a smile on her face, I could just say chicken jockey or Flint and
That's cute. That's adorable.
Steel or lava chicken. And then she was telling me, like, she's like, my favorite part of the movie, I think my favorite part of the movie was when the bee showed up. Just literally, like, they go into Minecraft and there's a bee. She's like, my second favorite part of the movie, probably chicken jockey. My third favorite part of the movie, lava chicken. But my favorite is when the bee showed up. I gave it a 2 out of 5, by the way. I don't think it's very good, but I think it's a fun theater experience. I think if you have children, they'll love to see it. I think it's a fun 2 out of 5, but I don't think it's I think that any adult without kids who's giving it like a 3.5 plus, if they give it a second viewing outside of the theater, they're going to be like, what the fuck was I smoking? Also, I'm scared for the future of media because I've seen a lot of reviews where, or not on reviews on Letterboxd where the real heads go, but on the Reddit like reaction threads. There's been a lot of like adults who are like, hey, I'm surprised they got some of this stuff into a kids movie because it's a little risque, man. They go some places. I can't believe some of the content that managed to make it into this kids movie. I mean, like the first half of the movie is basically for grown-ups, and I was like, no, it's fucking not, motherfucker. You need to watch like Goodfellas or something. It's been a lot. I guess if the last movie,
I will say, right, and I will say, let me give my take on this. It feels like they did do like adult things for the sake of like saying they did adult things. Like there's a scene that's very clearly meant to be like risque or like, you know, it's very clearly supposed to be like a sexual innuendo. All right, we'll call it what it is. It's very clearly supposed to be a sexual innuendo, but it feels like it was trying to be a sexual innuendo. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it does that make sense? It was like, how do we possibly make this as sexually charged we can in a kids movie to like, you know, as like a meme? Because like, you know, it'd be funny to put Jack Black and Jason Momoa into like a sexual situation. Because we do that all the time for the adults to have to watch. But like, it's like, I like the subtlety of it, right? You know what I mean? I like the subtlety of it. I like just have like an offhanded joke. I'm not joking with you. There's like an entire like 5-minute sequence where like they're like, okay, put your head between my nuts. You gotta get in closer, squeeze in closer. I feel some negative space there. Put your head closer to my nuts. All right, I'm gonna squeeze you. Make the man sandwich. Make the man sandwich. Like I'm not even joking. These are lines from the movies, by the way. Nuts to butts. Make the man sandwich. Like this. Yeah, let my hips guide you. I'm not joking. Like this is what was happening in the movie. I promise you, this is what was happening for like a solid 5 minutes. It was a 5-minute scene. 5-minute scene in the movie of like direct like sexual references. I'm just like, it didn't need to be that, right? Like if you want to have like a you know, an innuendo in a kids movie, that's not new. That's normal. But I'm just like, it felt like it felt like the entire movie felt, right? It felt like the entire movie felt, and that is, it was trying to be like irony bait, right? Like they did it specifically to be like what Northern Lion is talking about. Be like, wow, that I can't believe they put that in the movie. That was kind of risky. This is supposed to be a kids movie, right? They did it specifically for people to say that, right? And my take is that doing that so that people say that about your movie is cringe. You know what I mean? That's what my take is.
Movie you saw was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish or something like that. This might seem like it's a little bit beyond the pale as far as a kids movie goes, but it's mostly just.
And also, and my problem with the movie is that like less about the sexual innuendos, but again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I cannot stand how stupid it treats the audience. And I get the audience is 4-year-old kids, right? But like, gosh darn it, movies used to have some respect for the children. There used to be some level of respect for the children. I watched Shrek when I was 8, right? And Shrek wasn't like, oh wait, he did say I'm an ogre, probably. But he wasn't like, swamp, gingerbread man, Farquaad. Like, no, it was, but that's what the Minecraft movie was literally just Jack Black naming Minecraft items. Like, you can literally go to like random Minecraft block generator, and you could probably be like, there's a movie, point a movie, you'd be like, brown glazed terracotta, granite slab, like daylight sensor, like just I promise you, jukebox, like you just take a word or an item from Minecraft and say it in a funny way, right? And there's like, that's Jack Black. Even with diamonds, right? There's a scene where like they open up a piston door to see like a treasure trove of diamonds, and then Jason Momoa's like, oh, diamonds, and Henry's like, whoa, diamonds, and then Jack Black walks in and he's like, my diamonds, and you're just like, why did you say it like that? It felt like every single line of the movie was supposed to be like a quotable line, right? They were doing it for like the chicken jockey or for the nether, or like, you know, it's like they want kids to be walking around just quoting the lines by being like lava chicken, and that's it. But that's the entire movie. Man, I don't like this movie at all. I am not a fan of this movie.
It's just good old fashioned fun. It's a movie for children. Anyway,
it's not. I disagree with him on this. Children deserve better than the Minecraft movie. I'll say it. Children deserve better than the Minecraft movie. Did you like the Mario movie? I like the Mario movie better than I like the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie was so bad. It was maybe it's because I had 7 people in my theater, so I didn't get the full experience.
I give it a 2. I don't think
it's honestly okay. No, I'm back. The worst part I have about the movie is the fact that the kid Henry could make things that weren't Minecraft items. I hated that. I hated it so much. He literally, now that I think about it, I don't think he crafted a single thing in Minecraft. I mean, he made like the iron golems, but like, it's lore breaking. It is lore breaking, and I didn't like that.
horrendous. I thought it was fun. You know what is horrendous but also fun? You have to see the Lawnmower Man director's cut. Librarian, did you watch the director's cut? First 5 minutes of the movie, I was like, I wonder when Stephen King's influence will rear its head in this film. And then a man with the Lord Farquaad haircut busts out of a garden shed. And he's a grown man with the mind of a child. And he sees a chimpanzee with a VR headset and a pistol and says, Cybo-Man, I'll keep you safe. Are those the bad guys? Come here, Cybo-Man. And it just goes crazier from there. I would definitely, I gave it 1.5 out of 5 because it's unbelievably bad, but I also gave it a heart because it's unbelievably good. I would suggest watching the Lawnmower Man director's cut. It's mind-boggling that I did a 3-hour ride on Saturday. It took almost the entire ride to watch this movie. I finished the first 90 minutes and I was like, there's still an hour left in this mother.
No, there is not a BDSM. There is not a BDSM villager Jennifer scene. She hits the villager with the car. They go to dinner, and then they get married. Or he proposes to her the next day.
Fucking Lawnmower Man movie, man. It's unfathomable, but I was entertained the whole time through. It was unbelievable. I would recommend it. And then I watched MacGruber. I gave MacGruber a 3.5. Something about just when the dudes start shoving the celery sticks up their ass, and then
is Letterboxd a 5-star system, like 1 through 5 star? Yeah, maybe I'll start one. To really do half stars, I would give the Minecraft movie. I said 3.5 out of 10. Just like yesterday. Maybe it drops down to 3 out of 10. That translates to 1.5 out of 10 out of 5 stars, technically.
Waddling around. Just something about it, man. Anyway, what else? What did I do yesterday? Not much. Did you guys know that they closed down the Toys R Us in Vancouver?
Okay, I think we got through all the Minecraft movie things. Was Valkyrie really cut out of it because of Jason Momoa? Valkyrie was not in the movie, so I don't know what to tell you. It would have been cool to see Valkyrie in the movie, but they cut her out. She wasn't in the movie. There are rumors that she was cut out because of Jason Momoa. Why? Okay, here's what happened. Valkyrie leaked that she was going to be in the Minecraft movie. And then on stream, this is the problem with streamers, is that we talk about everything on stream. She leaked that Jason Momoa was not being very nice to the staff when she was filming. And people think that she broke the non-disparagement clause. And therefore they cut her out. Yeah. She wasn't in the movie. I can say that for sure. Wait, does that mean that Valkyrie is a part of the actors union? I don't know. So yeah.
Because like there's just new people, I guess. You know what I mean? People that are just tuning in, maybe. But
Boris Johnson talking about ostriches in Texas. Okay, that is a crazy sentence, but I think it's kind of funny. Former UK Prime Minister attacked by notable Australian giant bird in Texas, America.
You think you're very aggressive. Oh, Christ! I can't help. You think you're Oh, Christ! I can't help. You think you're very
That's so funny.
Oh, Christ! I can't help.
Him just driving on his That's so funny. I don't think that's an emu. It's not Stompy. Stompy has a lot more hair on his neck.
Oh, Christ! I can't help.
He just peels off. That's so funny. Okay, let's get back to this video.
I do feel like, I'm gonna be repeating myself quite a bit, as I usually do. Why is the expectation any different today? Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it is Market Madness Monday, instability galore. Trump is winning, so much winning. They're gonna say, Mr. President, we've won too much. Please, no more winning, but I'm gonna make you win again. I'm gonna say, you're gonna beg me, Mr. President, no more winning, please, but I'm gonna keep saying we're gonna win more. We're gonna win more and more. So much more winning than you've ever encountered, ever assumed, ever wanted. This is exactly the kind of winning that you're going to get. So there's a lot happening here. Hassan was right. Misgift says, I hate Trump. That's so funny.
Chap.
Palm. Why does he not have a shirt on? Trigger warning for Misgift shirtless.
I hate Donald Trump. I hate Donald Trump.
Put a shirt on.
So much. Hassan was right the whole time. Asmold was wrong. I hate Donald Trump. I hate him so much.
I mean, I don't know what anybody was thinking. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that not only is Donald Trump bad on this side, like bad for the economy in the short term, especially for those with like wealth in the stock market, which is the biggest no-no you can ever engage in. Like the entire point of the American presidency is that stocks always go up under your watch. Stocks never go down. Stocks always go up. And then everybody shuts the fuck up about it, right? They're like, well, we're making money, right? But what I find really strange about this is that these guys are not even aware of how bad Donald Trump truly is. Like they're not even aware of all of the other stuff that Donald Trump is doing, like the mass deportations, the erosion of the First Amendment, the erosion of due process. It is kind of funny to see like all these dudes coming out and being like, yeah, I think we might have fucked up a little bit. Like Misgift didn't endorse Donald Trump, but Aiden Ross certainly did. Look at Aiden Ross and DJ Academics having a conversation now that his stock portfolio is taking a major hit.
Yeah, we all are.
You look at your shit?
Bro, holy it's so bad.
Nah, how much you lost? Be honest.
Shares like Chinese good just increased. Oh no, they went up 50%. Did he actually do it? Oh god, this is gonna be rough. Oh, he actually did it. Effective total on Chinese goods will be hit with 170% after today per macro edge. Like, this person is correct. This is going to end in a week. This isn't sustainable for either country. Not for the first part, but the second part. This is not sustainable for either country. But China can hold out infinitely longer than we can because we import way more from China than China imports from America. Right? They are not going to be hurt by equal tariffs from both countries. We, as America, rely on imports. We rely on imports to keep our prices low. Like, but keep in mind, it's not going to be good for China. Like, China being able to sell their goods in America is good for China. It increases their revenue, their GDP. Like, it makes them money. It doesn't do nothing for them. But, like, they can afford to lose out on these short-term gains from selling to American manufacturers or to American distributors as the manufacturers, way more than America seeks to lose by not being able to get the manufacturing. Isn't China more nimble because they have more control? Yes, because they handle the manufacturing. If you handle, and this is the reason about under socialism, owning your own means of production is so impactful. If you handle the manufacturing, you have the control. You have the power. Right? China can get the raw materials from elsewhere. They don't need to get them from America. Right? They usually get them from elsewhere as well. And they can sell to other countries as well that can then sell to America. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to hurt America way more than it's going to hurt China. China has banned exports of rare metals to the U.S. I mean, of course they did. Of course they did. It's gonna suck for Americans. You know when the magician pulls a tablecloth and everyone remains on the table? Yeah. I don't know if that's a good analogy for what's going on right here. Because, like, America's, like, the bad magician who, like, you know, does not allow everything to remain on the table. The market is crashing, cratering now, is going into the red, even though it was green most of the day. Like, of course it is. Also, probably isn't good to enter multiple trade wars by putting tariffs on everyone. Frog here, I switched from ordering my stuff directly from, Louise. Directly from China rather than going via Amazon at all. This is the magician who pulls the entire meal off the table and tablecloth ruins the night. Yeah. Breaking China will ban exports of rare metals to the USA, threatening chip making supply chains. Like, how does America think it's going to manufacture its own chips if China controls the rare metals that are required for the chips? Like, easy invade Taiwan. I mean, legitimately, like, at this point, there's not much options. I would not put it past America to, like, you start using military solutions to force people to trade to them. You know? Like, yeah.
Eight figures. It's almost
damn.
Yeah. It's so
Taking a major hit.
Yeah, we all are.
You look at your shit?
Bro, holy it's so bad.
Nah, I'm not. How much you lost? Be honest.
8 figures. It's almost
damn.
Yeah.
You over here like Kamala, come back to me. You over here singing the song like the Kanye Bianca song.
It's bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
It'll get better, bro.
I know.
It'll get better.
It's bad though. It will get better.
Yeah, look. Look.
Maybe Aiden Ross should thank Hassan. At least now he has that Rolex. At least Trump was forced to return the Rolex to him, so he'll always have that Rolex he can sell.
I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not.
And the Tesla Cybertruck. You're totally right. And the Tesla Cybertruck.
Tide is turning.
To be fair, nobody's buying the Cybertruck, though.
XQC is now saying he never endorsed Trump. Him being there with Eldon and shaking hands with Trump was not an implied endorsement, he said. What happened, dude? What happened? Maybe this shit.
No, he didn't. XQC did not say that. XQC did not. Okay, Simulink. Simulink, please. Please, I need to see the coat. I need to see the coat. The next day, I interviewed the press as Cope. China's reportedly considering banning the import of U.S. films into China as a part of countermeasures against U.S. tariffs. Honestly, this may be net positive for Hollywood. Hear me out. Hear me out. This may be a net positive for Hollywood. Maybe they'll stop spending $100 billion on these stupid movies. Maybe we'll go back to like just making smaller productions for American audiences instead of like $500 million, $800 million blockbuster productions that nobody wants to freaking see. Maybe. It's already happening. People just don't watch them. Obviously, there are movies that don't cost freaking a bajillion dollars, right? But like, there has been an abandonment of smaller scale, even like of like, you know, not AAA movies, but like, you know what I mean? Even of like high budget productions. Like, you used to be, even back a decade ago, movies didn't cost like, you know, $800 billion or 800 million, not billion, $800 million or whatever. Pro markets have been propping up Marvel films.
It was not a meme. What's going on, dude? This is the beginning, okay? He had a Trump shirt on, I know. One of the funniest parts about all of this shit is that like the Tim Pools of the world and the Trump writers of the world are like, Donald Trump is eradicating.
Me doing that Aiden string doesn't mean that I endorse. Me doing that Aiden string doesn't mean that I endorse. I never even said vote for this, do that, do that. I never said shit like that. I never said shit like that. Ever. I never.
Gina Carano for far less.
He's watching the Megyn Kelly show. Bro is watching the Megyn Kelly show. He had a Trump shirt on. And he was like, I never endorsed him.
Than this nonsense.
Rachel finally crossed a line. Disney was officially...
Oh, he's watching Patrick CC watch the Megyn Kelly show. Okay, to be fair, I'll be fair. He's watching Patrick CC reference the Megyn Kelly show.
Fed up with her and decided to take action. First, I'm assuming they made her apologize because she redacted her comments she made about the election. From there, Zegler reportedly began working with a social media guru paid for by Disney to vet.
You say it's implied, but what? Okay, then what would sway you more than that? Me putting $700,000 on fucking Kamala winning, or me being in the background of an Aiden stream and appearing where Trump is in the vicinity? Which one of them is more than it? Hold on, you have to pick and choose now. Which one would sway you more? You don't even agree with yourself, dude. Shut up.
Any post before the...
Yeah, he's coping. Omega cope. Patrick CC for this video, Justice for Dragler. I don't even know what the video is, but Patrick CC kind of, I mean, he, by his own admission, kind of fell off a little bit.
Billionaires and their wealth right now. $7 trillion. Pee-pee poofed overnight. $7 trillion in market value gone. Okay? Couple things that I must maintain here. One, money is the most fake it's ever been. It will never be more fake than it is at this very moment. That's number one. The entire global financial structure is just, it's all maintained through confidence. Okay? It is so crazy. That's number one. Number two, money is the fakest it's ever been. That's number one. Number two, the idea for leftist values and socialists is not just to like fuck everyone's 401ks or their nest eggs or whatever. The entire point is uplifting the working class. It's not about, like, leftists do not want to nuke the entire planet, okay?
Speak for yourself. Got him. Sorry.
That's not the point. And a lot of these dumbasses on the right don't comprehend that. They're like, oh, I thought this is what you wanted. It's like, no, dude, no. We want everyone to have basic amenities, to have their basic needs met, because we have the power and we have the abundance to be able to do this. We have the surplus to be able to do this. Okay? It's not about just like over rich people a little bit for the first time ever, while simultaneously, for no discernible reason, doing that, and over the working poor spectacularly more. You know what I mean? That's not the point. The point is to actually build a manufacturing hub with good paying jobs.
That's not
where you know, people can buy a house.
That's not happening.
Fix the housing market. Those are the things that we're supposed to be doing. This is not like the point isn't just to be like, haha, $6 trillion of fake value eroded overnight. Lol. It's like, okay, so did people's like retirement funds. You know what I mean? It's such a funny attitude that like some of these Republicans have, which is like, they're just, that's what they think. That's what they think is going on. What they think is going on is like, oh, well, you know, rich people are upset. So this is good. To be fair, it is kind of funny. It is. Especially if you like, you're looking at your 401k, it's not so funny. But then you're looking and you're thinking about like how much more value has wiped out from infinitely wealthier people. And that resentment obviously exists within you. And you look at that and you're like, okay, not the worst thing. Obviously, they will recover from this in ways that you will not be able to. So, you know, I am cautious in the way that I cover this, because on the one hand, it's like, haha, it's funny. But also on the other hand, it's not so funny because what is yet to come is going to every normal person a lot worse than it screws over the super wealthy. Because they'll always be like, wealth is a relative concept. You're only as wealthy as your wealth is still at the end of the day determined by how others who don't have that kind of wealth. Like it's a proximity thing, right? So they will, under this new structure, still maintain their position, still maintain their status, still be wealthy, just not as wealthy, I guess, right? Yeah, exactly. You're only as wealthy as others are poor. That's just how it kind of works. So that's why I'm like, you know, on the one hand, I think it's very.
Is it not bright in here? My eyes are hurting.
Funny, because it's like another moment of vindication. Something that I said was incredibly stupid. That.
Shout out about China, by the way. What did the China say?
As wealthy as.
Oh, that's you. That's you, chat.
Others are poor. That's just how it kind of works. So that's why I'm like, you know, on the one hand, I think it's very funny because it's like another moment of vindication. So something that I said was incredibly stupid that people seemingly did not listen to. I kept saying like universal tariffs. As a tariff liker, as a tariff enjoyer, as a trade protectionist appreciator, I think what Donald Trump is doing is very stupid. And lo and behold, it was, right? Yeah. Not just rich people, not rich, but I do have money in stock and bonds. I'm losing the very little wealth security I have. Sucks. No, I know. I'm that's why I'm saying, on the one hand, there's a little bit of catharsis in seeing like a guy like Aiden Ross be like, oh my God, I lost like $10 million overnight, right? But also on the other hand, you look at your own situation, you look at your portfolio, and you're like, well, he can lose 10 million. I can't. So it's a weird circumstance, knowing full well that like they can rebound from that, right? They can recover from that, whereas you are not going to be able to recover from that. So on the one hand, like I see the catharsis, I see the resentment that a lot of people hold and why it's like kind of funny. But also on the other hand, I recognize how damaging this is. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Law, only 62% of Americans have stock. That's an insane number of people. And also, it doesn't even matter, because here's the reality. And this is something that I've talked about quite a bit. The way that it works is the gains in the stock market are privatized. They are up there at the tippy top, okay? It's consolidated. Wealth is consolidated at the top. The top 10% of the stock market owns 90% of all of the stocks, okay, in the United States of America. The bottom 90% is the 62% you're talking about. The bottom 90% is literally they only own 10% of the stocks. The way this works is when the stock market is doing well, they're doing really good. You're doing all right in comparison. But when it's doing poorly, those losses are socialized. So when the stock market does poorly, you're fucked, because companies start engaging in layoffs. You might get a recession. You might get a depression, right? So it's really, it's awful. It's an awful situation overall. And it's not like this government, or any government, as a matter of fact, in the United States of America has ever historically looked at economic downturn periods and said, we got to save the working poor, the wealthy. We got to save the working poor instead. That has never happened. So that's also another scary circumstance. It's another scary thing to look at. So it's not about the actual losses, but the effects of those losses of the stock market downturn. Yes. For the average American, you would not care about your 401k if you had a reliable pension program and also Social Security that could keep you afloat. You'd be like, okay, this is extra money on the side. Great. Okay. The only reason why you feel like you have vested interest in the stock market doing well is because you don't have those things. And we have basically financialized that aspect of people's retirement already. Something I talk about quite a bit. This is the reason why, and it's a very clever, very insidious method of making you feel like you have a vested interest in the stock market doing well. It is crazy to me that most people don't recognize this. That is precisely the reason why the dude working at the kitchen, like a chef, under normal circumstances, who's not like super caked up, is still going, I'm checking the stocks. It's doing well. So I guess my president is doing right by me. It's like, bro, that's not for you. That's only there to make you feel like it is for you, right? And the unfortunate reality is, of course, you can't do anything about it, because in the absence, this is why I say, like, while I personally am, of course, very much against capital accumulation, I understand that even as a leftist, like, you have to have a retirement fund, right? Like, being a socialist, being a moral socialist doesn't mean that you work till you die. Being a moral socialist doesn't mean you can't have some kind of security, some kind of protection for your future. This is something that I've talked about quite a bit. I would never urge you not to get, like, not to have a 401k, for example. But for many people, I think,
I must be delusional again. What did he say? I don't even. He's pro McCarthyism. Of course he is. That's not surprising. Man, I'm tired.
They want me to fight the chicken?
Chicken jockey!
Thanks, Jack Black. Why did design me look like that? Who knows? Who knows? I feel like there was one I was someone to watch. I feel there was something else I wanted to talk about too that I had saved. Oh, there was this I saw from about Charlie Kirk.
A product in America.
Wait, what was that?
If you make a product in America, you don't actually have to pay the tariff.
Oh, well, that was a big lie, and he knows it's a big lie, and I can prove it using an easy example, this 100% American-made Florida tangerine right here. See, Charlie is counting on you not thinking...
Ray was supposed to say chicken jockey. Ray was supposed to say chicken jockey? That would have been pretty funny, actually. Can you imagine Ray saying chicken jockey?
About the fact that, yeah, if something's 100% made in America, that exact item won't get a tariff on it, but the entire supply chain and how it's made and all the materials and all of the other parts of it are going to go up in price, right? Let's take a look at this Florida tangerine, right? It grows on a tree, you pick it off. Why?
I've read about the Miskiff thing.
Why would there be a tax on that? Why would there be a tariff on that? Well, what about the hoses for the irrigation to bring water to this tangerine? What about the tractor that's used as these are put into the back of a tractor and then driven off to the supply area so they can be packaged? What about the bags, the netting that these are put in, right? Is the netting made in America? You know, when you buy tangerines at the grocery store and they have that little plastic netting around it? 10%. It went up at least 10%, the price of just that netting alone. Where's the label made that goes on that netting, Charlie? And then let's go talk about the rest of the supply chain, the truck that took that you needed to go put this tangerine at the grocery store. Every single part of that truck, were they all made in America?
Apparently he was in her Discord in her DMs. Who? Who's he? Then delete the messages. Who are we talking about? Miskiff. Oh, Miskiff. Oh, I was like, in Ray's DMs. They mentioned Miz. I did mention Miz. I forgot I mentioned Miz. Because chat said Ray. So when you said her, I thought you meant Ray. I was confused.
America, because
we'll get to Miskiff in a second.
Now if anything goes wrong with that truck, that part's going to need to get replaced, which means maintenance costs are going to go up because that part goes up. So now they're going to go pass that on to the actual seller of the tangerine, who's going to pass it on to the buyer. Once we get to the grocery store itself, are all the light bulbs made in America, Charlie? All those fluorescent light bulbs hanging over everybody's head. What about the shelving units? What about the refrigeration units that are used in the produce section, Charlie? What about all of the other different parts of that building itself of the grocery store? Is there anything that might need to be replaced in the near future that isn't made in America? Because all of them went up at least 10% because we put a 10% tariff on the entire world at the minimum, and at the maximum, it is percentages that we can't even imagine because they were imagined by ChatGPT as they were handed off to college students that you spent the last 4 years distracting from going into their classes while you stood out in a tent and yelled, "No, it's the wokes and DEI that are causing all these problems, Charlie." And Charlie, I'm even talking about something very simple like a tangerine that's grown right here in Florida. I'm not even getting into anything more complicated like a t-shirt, Charlie, because I know for a fact that your t-shirt costs went up because Turning Point USA, the organization that you run that is funneling billionaire money to make sure that these kids keep voting to lower taxes somewhere along the line and destroy the world and maybe conquer Greenland or some shit, that organization that you run uses Gildan t-shirts. And Gildan t-shirts, the blanks that you then get screen printed, those are not made here in America. Where are your t-shirts made, Charlie? They're made in Latin America and Southeast Asia. So your t-shirt costs have gone up. Your costs are going up. You don't buy American. You don't use American labor. You just use American voters. And then you turn to them and tell them the money's on the dresser and it's never there.
Mm-hmm. There was that I saw. I wonder why liberals don't care about this type of hypocrisy when the Democrats are doing it. That's my biggest problem. I don't have a problem with anything else the guy said in the video. My biggest problem with videos like that and this entire thing is that, like, why do liberals not care about the hypocrisy when the Democrats are doing it? Because, like, yeah, call it the hypocrisy of, like, Charlie Kirk saying the tariffs aren't going to make the prices go up, you know, if you buy American while selling Gildan t-shirts. Sure. Right? Hypocrisy. The Democrats claiming to care about, the lives of marginalized people while coasting a genocide. Not hypocrisy. Kaho said, I saw a video of content creators I met before doing pull-ups and gymnastic tricks on a sakura tree branches, inevitably shaking cherry blossom petals off. It broke my heart to see someone I actually know doing such things in Japan. It's always been unknown people on social media. Fortunately, the post is gone the next day, so they probably regretted it and deleted it. But please, if you want to flex your muscles to show how much testosterone you've got, go touch your own wood. That's pretty good. Go touch your own wood. Just saying, go jerk off somewhere else. Leave Japan alone. Leave ephemeral cherry blossoms with flowers living only 2 weeks alone. Content creator Mitskip and Tokyo Sims were drawing criticism for doing these pull-ups and gymnastic tricks on a Japanese cherry tree. One Japanese language post about it has already received over 200,000 views. This is the post. Oh, there's no sound. Okay. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. Just on mere principle, I'm not watching a Yeet video. Even if it's the video that I want to see. You know what? Whatever. Whatever. I'll take a little look.
Yeah, but to my community and my people, sorry that if I got you worried. Yeah, sorry about that. Why are you shitting on him? Because he sent me a personal message. Yeah, shitting on me. Yes, that's why. And it's all about me. There are like 3 me in 3 sentences. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so your community actually affects you. Wow. I was like, I was shocked. And he actually deleted that comment later on from like a Discord. Yeah, but of course I screenshot it as evidence. Yeah, you shouldn't be, Kaho. Our community is the best. Oh, thank you. Well, you're one of the best.
What do people give Miz chances?
Like
Many of them. So there's this concept that I've coined called the thin purple line. Why? I mean, not even. It's the thin purple line, right? Streamers have a level of allowance once you have a number that is higher than other numbers. If you're getting 10,000 plus viewers, if you have 1 million plus followers or whatever, like, you have a level of allowance from other streamers. They'll just let you get away with things. Boys Club. It's not even just Boys Club. It's primarily Boys Club, but like this extends to like all streamers of a certain size and above, right? You can do horrific things and you will be defended for those because you have a number that is larger than it should be. That's just it. So cancel culture is not real. We are a cloud-based society. We are a cloud-based society. Putting with them, not that it's a good thing. But another line kept getting away with being so bald. Yeah. Also avoiding the community hate. Yeah. The problem is like if you like in this moment, if you jump on like Miskiff hate things, when you get called out, rightfully or not, right? you want Mizkif to have your back, or at least to not talk about it. And so, like, if Mizkif does something that's bad, that he's getting canceled for or getting called out for, right? You don't talk about it. So if you get called out for something that you think you're in the right for, you know, they won't, like, he won't also call you out. That's the thin purple line, right? There's like, it's like, again, the thin purple line comes from like the thin blue line, where cops, even if cops disagree with what another cop is doing, which oftentimes they don't, but even if they do disagree, they oftentimes won't call out or report that cop doing something bad, because there's a level of understanding that, like, hey, if you're a cop and I'm a cop, you wear the badge and I wear the badge. Even if I do something wrong, you can't call me out, because we have to be together. We have to show a united front, right? It is tribalism. It's internally allowing yourself the leniency if you do these things that people complain about men doing. What do you mean? A great comparison. I mean, yeah, that's why I called it thin purple line. The message before that. Why? No, actually, I'm not doing that. Why are you putting your messages in sequential order, chat? I'm not gonna go and follow the breadcrumbs back to the first message to figure out what you're saying. Just put it in one message. Jeez Louise. It says like a young person. This is not a text. This is a chat. Not the same thing. But yeah, that's it. The same reason why people don't call it Asmongold. Right? It's that there's a level of, again, allowance. You allow somebody else when they have a certain amount of viewership. Thin purple line. And all of your favorite streamers who are above a certain threshold, pretty much all of them extend this charity to other streamers of their size. Pretty much all of them.
Disappointing. I got so personally disappointed. Up until that point, I thought, like, you know what? You know, he didn't know, or they didn't know. I mean, it's not about this one guy. They didn't know. You know, of course, they can always excuse it. I was gonna, you know, help them have the opportunity to explain themselves, even to the Japanese community and the English community. And they were like, oh, yeah, really rude response. Really rude. And there were 3 me in 3 sentences. And there was no period in the sentence. That really, you know, my OCD just like freaked out. Yeah. Creator. And it's all sounded like you were upset with me for making a big deal. If you want to explain yourself, I'm all happy. I'm always happy to appear on your stream or video with just content. Take the shit from your community, help make you look good by hearing you out. Let me know if there is anything you'd like to do. But please know it wasn't a personal attack on you or the other guys in the video. I would have felt and done the same to other creators I met. Locals in Japan are too frustrated with tourists causing troubles, whether they do that out of malice or oblivion. Now, again, nice and simple. Well, professional. And then the response. You know what? As an English speaker who is like, as a second language, English is my second language, but I guess like I feel like my writing sounds more mature. Because the response I got was, now I have Johnny Sumara account on me. You don't realize what you've done to me. Please leave me alone.
Wait, what?
What you've done to me. Please mature. Because the response I got was, now I have Johnny Sumara account on me. You don't realize what you've done to me. Please leave me alone.
He said, now I have a Johnny Somali account on me. You don't realize what you've done to me. Leave me alone. So he's getting mad at her, right? He's getting mad at her because people who talk about Johnny Somali are now talking about him in the same breath because he also went to Japan and started causing trouble. Like, how is that her fault, bro? How is that her fault for calling out your terrible behavior? Dog. all you had to do, right, was saying this misgive. All you have to do is say, you're right. Probably shouldn't have done that. I apologize if I have offended Japan or Japanese culture. Thank you for telling me. I just didn't know. That's all you have to say. Right? But just being like, how dare you? You don't know what you've done to me. Now I have Johnny Somali accounts tweeting about me. You've ruined my life. You've ruined my life. They're being called Johnnies. The term is trending on social media for content creators who cause issues in Japan. That's what I got from that. They're being compared to Johnny Somali, which maybe you should not do Johnny Somali things. Honestly, you're lucky that you're not being called Logan Pauls. Actually, which would be worse? Maybe Johnny Somali nowadays in 2025. Johnny Somali would be worse being compared to Johnny Somali. Logan Paul kind of started the whole thing, though, you know? I used to mod at LSF a few years, and this is the worst person I ever had to deal with. That's not very surprising, honestly. How we trade Trump for Johnny? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know which one I would prefer. Trump causes more harm, but Johnny Somali is just so lame. You know what I mean? To be fair, if you were threatened of being banned from Japan, you'd say your life was ruined too. Well, maybe don't be a nuisance for no reason. Like, nobody told you to start doing pull-ups. Genuinely, why do you think that would be a good idea? Even if you don't know, even off of pure ignorance of not knowing Japanese customs, just be freaking normal. Just be normal. He cannot be normal. That's like dancing in the street and then getting like arrested. Like, I didn't know I could dance in the street. Wait, I can't dance in the street anymore? Like, obviously, just if you were a normal person and you're freaking just walking around, like if you use the crosswalk, you wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. There's no reason for you to do pull-ups on a sakura tree or a cherry blossom tree. There's no reason. There's genuinely zero reason.
Me.
He gets views. Well, then good for him. It gets views, but now he's getting potentially kicked out of the country.
What the fuck? What did I say? It's not about you. I'm so outraged. Wow. At least one of the bad tourists. Oh yeah, I haven't met them or anything. It was never being like personal. Seriously, I'm outrageous. Such immature response.
We got a decent analogy. It's like if a tourist made a public video purposely throwing trash into the Grand Canyon, some people are going to get mad at that. Yeah, like you're not supposed to be doing that. That is something you're not supposed to be doing, right? Or like drawing on the walls in a museum. Like, some things kind of extend past cultural boundaries. Like, if you just act like a normal person, then it won't be an issue in the first place. There's a gnat in here, gosh darn it. It's gonna bug me for all day now. Like, it just kind of feels like unnecessary. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah. When I find it, it's life. People just not giving money to these clowns. I mean, they get enough viewers where like, even if nobody gives them money, they'll still be freaking millionaires because like sponsors and stuff. But yeah, like even if you don't know, just say I'm sorry, I didn't know. Also, there's new zombie on Asmold as well.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. Why are we even debating this? Nobody has any idea.
That's not true.
What the end game for this is.
The market doesn't have tits, so he's unsure of his position. Well, think about it like this.
Oh, was this when he was in DC? Right, and Tokyo is is too hot right now with content creators, which kind of sucks. Cause like I want to go to Tokyo. It would be cool if I could like vlog or film or stream in Tokyo, and I probably won't do it. Right? I'm a black person, like in Japan with a camera. I'm gonna get called Johnny Somali, bro. It's gonna happen. Peach just arrived in Tokyo. Grandma's going to Tokyo, going to Japan, like, next week, right? So you're doing promo for the new Assassin's Creed? True. You can try China. I don't know if China would have me. China, I would go. Other countries are basically using work visa violations to kick people out. South Korea seems cool too. Well, Johnny Somali is currently being held in South. Johnny's been terrorized pretty much every country. You know what I mean? Does that endorse Ms. Takao? The thin purple line has consequences. I'm back when I go to Tokyo in January with my dad and my brother. We had a good time. The only weird thing I got was from a kid. Well, I mean, I'm going to Japan in November anyway. That's what's happening. It's whether or not I decide to make content is the question. You know what I mean? Yeah. I covered this. Covered that. Oh, did y'all see the guy who got arrested for brandishing a rifle a few days ago? No. MAGA man ruins his life after getting arrested for brandishing his rifle at an anti-Trump protesters.
What's up? Everybody that way! 911! 911! 911! You jumped out of your car, please. You're walking this way. You're walking traffic.
His wife calls 911. Did you see how the police responded? They were looking for who assaulted him. Wait, really? No stitches. No stitches.
No, he's gonna take off.
Wife dry stitching. Yeah, but like this is also just not self-defense. Even if they found and arrested the person, he's not charged. Wait, okay, that's not surprising, but like that's kind of stupid. This is very clearly like brandishing a gun, right? And like it's extended way past self-defense when he starts hunting to shoot somebody. Cause it was self-defense. You can't do this. You can't start walking towards people and make a self-defense claim. Wait, this is Texas, isn't it? Like, you can't get punched, get back into your car, get your gun, leave your car, and start hunting to kill somebody. And like, well, it was self-defense. It was self-defense. I mean, Kyle. I mean, even Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, they were making the claim that his life was directly being threatened by being attacked in that moment, right? So that even Kyle Rittenhouse is a different situation than this one. If he ended up shooting somebody, there's no shot they would consider this self-defense, right? Kyle was being beat up on by a person in the moment, which we can argue about whether or not that was justified, right? But this, like, he's going hunting. He's literally looking to go kill somebody. Like, that would be a way harder claim to prove. Go ahead to Japan and just act like a good guy you are. Some people, the people are great, and will see immediately you're not Somali and accept you for who you are. They shared it with me when I was on R&R from Nam. What's up, Asmold Dad? That's the plan. Japan seems so nice. I want to go to Japan. But honestly, this is why, as American, if you see somebody being a Johnny Somali in another country, I'm not saying you fight them, but I'm saying you give them a stern talking to, right? You're like, yo, you're making us look bad. I'm American, you're American. Like, put those hands up. I'm not saying do all that, right? But I'm just saying, like, let them know to be respectful. The guy right now and deserves a chair. Honestly, I'm glad. I'm just glad I haven't heard from Kyle Rittenhouse in freaking years. That's what I'm happy about. What does RS mean? Rivals time? RuneScape? I don't think it means RuneScape. Wait, okay. I was gonna play Rivals, but I think I have a meeting at 12 o'clock. Yeah, I do have to go. I have a meeting soon. Jesus, I have I have 4 meetings today, bro. That's why I don't take freaking days off. All right. What's up, YouTube chat? Shout out YouTube chat. Goodbye, YouTube chat. Adios.